you feel like you might be forgetting something serious? Your annual flu shot. And before you know it, it's too late. It's not just the aches, fever, and chills that last for days and days. The flu can be life-threatening, especially if you have chronic conditions like diabetes and heart disease, which can worsen with the flu. Being active and healthy alone won't protect you. The immune system weakens with age, making you more susceptible to the flu. If you're over 65, ask about your vaccine options, including one made specifically for us. An annual flu shot is the best way to help keep the flu away. Visit the National Council on Aging at ncoa.org/flu to learn more and talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccine options for people 65 and older. Again, that's ncoa.org/flu.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision and independence to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. It's the leading cause of blindness in adults 55 and older. Some of us are at greater risk for AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD. If left untreated, it can lead to blindness. The good news, with early detection, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that can reduce or even reverse some vision loss. Learning that you have AMD can be scary, but there's hope and help. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is researching and developing treatments and cures for AMD. To get your free AMD information packet, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. Join the fight against AMD, because together there is a cure in sight.
I answered the call, and even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine, still serving those around me, my country, and my community. That is Semper Fidelis. Always faithful. Always Marine.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney. On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
I promised I would return, and I always keep my promises. Matt Rooney on the Matt Rooney Show here on 1210 WPHT. Pleasure to be with you all, and I missed you, I have to say. Not that I don't enjoy a little time off from time to time, to tan and relax and recharge my batteries, but then
Daddy
inevitably... Excuse me?
Daddy owes you.
It's the first thing you said to me when I came in tonight.
Daddy owes you.
What planet are we living on? Goodness gracious. But as I was saying, I always look forward to returning, and I'm excited, bursting with energy, desirous to talk to all of you about the stuff that happened over the course of the week that's gone by, and to prepare you for the week ahead. And what a week it was!
Mustard.
2 weeks since the last Matt Rooney Show. We're gonna put a lot of mustard on it tonight, Daniel. We have
Mustard.
What do we have? We have indictments.
Yeah,
More indictments. American politics is turning into a bad court show. And we've got pants ripping at concerts, getting barred in Saudi Arabia.
We have a lot of concert stuff today.
We have a lot of concert stuff in the stack.
Well, I also have some stuff for Twit Talk as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's geared towards you. Because you are, among other things...
It's not how that works, but...
What do you mean it's not how it
geared
works?
towards me. Anyway...
A lot of the show is geared towards you.
It's right off the bat, we have exclusive audio of Trump coming out of the courtroom in Georgia, and I found audio of people saying things to him if you want to hear it.
So we have exclusive audio at the start of tonight's program.
Yeah, start of the program. This is what... it's what everyone was saying if you wanted to hear it.
I'm just impressed that you were doing this much work while I was away.
I had 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right, well, let's do this first. Let's tell everybody how they can watch.
Okay.
Assuming they want to see and not just hear. Head over to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. That's where you can go and you can watch tonight's show. You can participate in the chat. You can confirm that I am indeed as handsome as I sound. I can't make the same warranty for producer Daniel in the next booth over. He is what he is.
Unfortunately.
Well, you know, you're born how you're born.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
A woman.
You didn't choose to be you.
No, I wanted to be a woman, but here I am.
Well, I mean, you do have some girlish tendencies.
Yeah, I got some womanly hips, some
You-
girlish figure hips.
Your milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Yes, it does.
I've been told.
And it's better than yours.
No, it's not. I could teach you, Dan, but I would have to charge. All right?
Daddy owes you.
Who says that? Like, I'm glad it was said because now we have the clip.
I don't know.
But how does that leave one's brain?
How do you feel that your president is telling kids that he'd get them ice cream and that
Daddy owes you.
daddy owes them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yet another thing they said about the Trumpster that is actually more true of the Biden, right, of the big guy. They made all these comments about, oh, Donald is weird, and isn't it strange how affectionate he is towards his daughter, and he's got all these past relationships, what a pig he is. Has Donald Trump ever said creepy things to children while they're getting ice cream? Has Donald Trump talked about kids sitting on his lap because they like his hairy legs? Has Donald Trump sniffed? I mean, how many kids has he sniffed on camera now, Joe Biden?
I don't know.
Hundreds.
To count.
Half the children in this nation have been sniffed by Joe Biden
Yeah.
since he ran for president in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy owes you.
Easy there, Daddy. So let's hear this exclusive audio. This is one of the things we pride ourselves on here at the
Yeah.
Matt Rooney Show,
Yeah.
bringing people fresh content.
Yeah.
Set it up one more time, because then you said it, and then I started
So,
blabbing. And
it was when Trump was coming out of the courtroom on whenever he was in Georgia.
indicted in Georgia, Fulton County.
Yeah, I guess he was walking out and people were, heckling him and stuff like that, and that's what this is.
Okay, let's hear it.
Goodbye!
Tell you what. Where else are you going to get that
I don't know, man.
than here on 1210 WPHT?
And then Trump responded.
I'm gonna start kicking some serious ass.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How did you feel about the mugshot? Did you like his choice?
Dude, the mugshot goes hard.
The steely death stare?
I love the mugshot. I think it
Okay.
goes, it's behind me. I don't know if you can see, but it's behind
No,
me.
I didn't
It's on
see.
the-
I haven't.
It's on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I was, recap very briefly. I was
Yeah.
out last week. I'm actually going to be in Fairmount this week. I'm filling in for Dom Giordano a couple days. I think Tuesday and Wednesday this upcoming week. But I haven't been in the studio for about 2 weeks. So when did that go up? I'm guessing day after
Friday.
Trump turned himself in.
Yeah, so Friday.
All right.
It goes hard, man.
It was hard.
It was.
And his base, the folks that are going to turn out and they're going to renominate Donald Trump in 2024, that look is what they're voting for, correct? That's what they want. They want someone who, regardless of how you feel about this, are going to not only stand up to the deep state, but stick it to the deep state.
All
Destroy the deep state.
All the other mugshots look terrible.
I wouldn't say that.
Sidney Powell's looks heinous.
Well, Sidney Powell is,
She looks terrible in her
I mean,
mugshot.
a carpenter's only good as his tools, right? I mean, Sidney Powell looks the way Sidney Powell looks. Not trying to be mean about it, but, I mean, she's not,
That's why that's why she's called the Kraken.
well.
Goodbye!
Goodbye. Yeah, so, I mean, you can only do so much with that. Jenna Ellis, the young female attorney that was
Good-looking
part of
mugshot.
Trump's legal team. Well, because she did what Tom the Hammer DeLay did back in the day. I don't even know if you were born yet, but when Tom DeLay was facing charges down in Texas, in Tejas, he smiled. Big, cheesy grin for his mugshot. And that's, rule numero uno when you are taken into custody and you are forced to cheese and provide that mugshot for the authorities, and you know that it's a high-profile case, so it's eventually going to see the light of day. People are going to take a look at it. Smile. Don't look guilty. Poor Rudy Giuliani, God love him, he looks lost in his mugshot. Or constipated, or both. I don't know. Maybe he's lost and he's trying to use the bathroom. I don't know what was going on with that one. But you would think that Rudy, of all people, the man who crushed the mafia in New York City, would know how to take a proper mugshot.
Breaking them for the same thing that Trump's getting charged for. Racketeering.
Well, Rudy was an innovator and a pioneer in using RICO to take down organized crime networks. Yeah, it's a fascinating story. And even if you're not a legal nerd like yours truly, it's worth reading about because it's one of the great triumphs of law enforcement in contemporary American history. We talk about law enforcement in a negative way, in a negative light, recently, and often for good reason because, the FBI being the foremost example, there's a lot of bad people at the top of the chain that are using our system and weaponizing it for political ends. But that wasn't always the case, and what Rudy did to the mob in New York City is one of those great American stories that, look, I mean, for a while, there was serious talk about Rudy Giuliani being president of the United States. Not only on the strength of that record and cleaning up New York City, but also, of course, his leadership during 9/11. So I saw the Rudy picture, and I was just kind of sad, Dan, remembering what that man has accomplished over the course of a career, that this is what it's come down to. But Trump's mugshot, well, look, you tell us. Maybe this could be our first poll of the evening, Dan, if I could twist your arm and get you to do it. Did Trump land the dismount for his mugshot? Or should he have smiled or done something else?
I thought he was going to smile, to be honest. I mean, he smiles on everything else. So I thought he would give a nice big cheesy grin. Like he
You think he smiles?
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen Donald Trump smile?
I don't know, like all of his pictures that he has, he's like always smiling. So I just figured that he would use his nice pearly whites. And
I've always thought that's been one of the man's problems. He doesn't smile. He rarely laughs.
yeah, but instead we have a guy who says,
Daddy owes you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not much of a choice for those of us actually paying attention and with a semblance of sanity left. But we all know how that goes. For whatever reason, in modern America, and maybe we're going to get into this a little bit tonight on the program, people are very much in their corners. And I doubt that there are many Democrats who could say with a straight face that they have confidence in Joe Biden's leadership, especially over the course of another full 4-year term, were he to get one. He's already diminishing rapidly on a day-to-day basis right before his eyes. Does anyone really think that Joe Biden, even if somehow you think that he's up to the job right now, do you think he's going to be able to do it in 2 years, in 4 years? I hardly think so. It's one of the reasons why, and I got this question earlier in the week from a friend who's kind of apolitical but knows that I'm political, and they're half paying attention. Matt, why does everybody care about this Republican debate in Milwaukee when these guys have virtually no chance of catching up to Donald Trump and winning the Republican nomination? It's because the vice presidential question this time around may be one of the most important questions that voters are going to pass judgment on, or at least should. You've got two men, both of whom are going to be over 80 during their term in office, should they be elected. Trump's in certainly better health physically and cognitively than Joe Biden by all outward indications. But they're both not exactly in the springtime of their lives, right? They are both more likely than your average American president to see the inside of a jail cell by the time that term is done, or at least when that term is done, depending upon how the legal wrangling plays out. Now, certainly based upon what I've seen so far, I think one of them, Joe Biden, deserves to be in a 6x8 cell eating prison food a lot more than the other guy. But you can't deny, looking at what's out there right now and how the deep state is making a full court press on the orange man, there's a chance that Donald Trump could go to jail. I hope that I'm not, rocking your world too much by stating the obvious here. So the number two, he, she, whatever, that's going to be standing up there on the convention stage, waving and smiling with their family, usually that position is largely a glamour position. At best, it's maybe a inside track to getting the presidential nomination yourself down the road. But this time around, no, there is a decent chance when it comes to both men, and in both cases, that person may need to step up. That person may actually become president before that term in office concludes. So that's why, long answer to short question, that's why Milwaukee mattered, because there's a very, very high probability that someone on that stage is going to be Donald Trump's number two, right? Likewise, let's flip over to the other side of the coin here. Kamala Harris, every indication is that she's going to be the vice presidential nominee again for Joe Biden, assuming Joe Biden stays the presidential nominee, which is always an open question. How much comfort do the American people have? How much confidence do they have in her ability to do the job? Well, if you look at the poll, she's in the middle of a what are we calling it, Dan? A reboot? A relaunch? Just don't call it a comeback.
Sure.
I've heard a few different
Revamp.
words applied. Yeah, she's being revamped, retooled, repackaged for the American people.
Updated.
Yes. It's still not looking too good. Same crappy product, different packaging. And poll after poll after poll reflects that the American people, by and large, they just don't have no confidence in Kamala Harris. They don't like Kamala Harris, but not that there's much to like. Have you heard her speak? Actually, here's a good one. I was paying attention to the news while I was gone. Oh, it's a little scary with Halloween right around the corner, too. And before you jump down my throat and you say, oh, Matt, it's not even Labor Day yet. It's a week to Labor Day. Halloween's not around the corner. Well, why don't you tell Home Depot?
Look, I'm perfectly fine with it. I love Halloween. I think it's a great sign. I think we should have it all year.
Well, you're kind of a spooky dude.
I think haunted attractions should be open all year. To be honest with you, I did one last Christmas. They were open. It was all Christmasified.
And where was that?
Lancaster.
And they did a haunted horror attraction for the holidays.
Yeah, they do one all the time. So, like, their main one is for Halloween, obviously. But then they shut down from November until about one day in December, and they opened it up one night only for Christmas, and then it shut down again, and they redo it for one night only for Valentine's Day, and then they shut it down, and then they open for one night only for St. Patrick's Day, and that's their final non-Halloween attraction, and then they're closed all throughout the rest of the time until.
You could make a Halloween thing out of St. Patrick's Day.
Sure, but I did the Christmas
evil
one.
Leprechauns or something.
Yeah, I did the Christmas one. It was a great time.
Okay, is it kind of a playful Nightmare Before Christmas? No. It's Santa being eaten by zombies. What are we talking about here?
I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, I don't know. Imagine an asylum, but with like Christmas lights in it.
I can't
Exactly.
imagine.
There you go. It was a good time, though. It was a great time.
Is Bella into this? Is the lovely Bella your girlfriend?
Speaking of that, we went to Eastern State yesterday, just for the tour, my family and her.
Okay.
And I convinced her to go to Eastern State Halloween, their Halloween event. So she doesn't like it, but she said as long as you're the one going, then yeah.
I will say this. I went years ago to that, and by years ago, I'm talking like 15 years ago.
When it was still Terror Behind the Walls.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I got to say, at the time, and we're talking 15 years ago, I didn't think it was the best haunted house, but just the environment, it was worth it for that.
For sure.
To be in this place that, Al Capone was imprisoned in. And
in this area, it's one of the top. It's one of the top in the area.
Yeah. You just can't.
Yeah. Bella says she's not into them, but I guess she'll go to like one. That's a lie. She said she'd go to 4 with me.
She's not into what? Haunted houses?
Yeah, she said she'd go to 4. We agreed. Gmail on YouTube says Kamala Harris is a Halloween character. Yeah.
Yeah. That terrible remake they did last year of Hocus Pocus, she should have been one of the witches.
You mean Hocus Pocus 2?
Yes.
It wasn't a remake. It was just a sequel.
Was it a sequel? Yes. I don't know what that was. I don't know what I was watching.
Hocus 2.
It was horrendous. We talked about this last Halloween, didn't we?
Yeah, it was. I didn't see it. I have no interest in Hocus Pocus.
It wasn't just garbage. It was toxic garbage set on fire. It was pitiful. It was pitiful. But I'm not going to revisit that. We have other things we have to cover.
We'll revisit it again in October.
Yeah, right. We got plenty of time to dump on Bette Midler. It's always a good day to dump on Bette Midler, but other fish to fry. So to speak. Why were we talking about Halloween?
Home Depot has their Halloween stuff up.
Yes, Home Depot has its Halloween stuff up already. So I was pointing out that, don't blame me for saying that Halloween is just around the corner, because clearly the commercial gods have decided that it is now Halloween. Yes. But Kamala Harris, which is what originally brought us down this path, did you see this exchange she had with Al Sharpton? Another guy who's famous for making things up, inventing words.
What is he anymore? Is he just like a talk show host now? Like, what is he doing?
He's on MSNBC. He was a full-time racial agitator.
Right, I knew that. He's a race baiter.
Yes, he was a race baiter, which I would imagine there is some college in the country now that's offering a degree in race baiting. That's where we are in 2023. But I don't think Al ever had a degree. He was an amateur race baiter that became a professional race baiter. And he's a reverend of what church, of what discipline, what kind of theological training he has. Couldn't tell you. But we all know his history with Tawana Brawley and everything else that he's been a part of over the course of the ensuing decades. Doesn't exactly have a track record as a uniter. But he's got his MSNBC show, and he interviewed Kamala Harris. I think it was maybe Thursday. And she delivered a patented Kamala Harris word salad. That's what she served up. Wrap your head with duct tape before we play this, but enjoy.
There are forces that are intentionally trying to divide us as a nation. We need to be clear-eyed about that also. So when I think about this fight, it is also a fight to unify and to resist the forces that are trying to divide us. You know, let's not be manipulated, and let us not be deterred. We cannot be tired. We cannot be overwhelmed. But let us also, in this moment, understand the significance and the importance of bringing our country together around, again, foundational principles about who we are as America.
Let us not be deterred. Let us not be exhausted.
What kind of salad dressing do you think she likes?
What kind of salad dressing?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely Russian dressing.
I was gonna say, do you think she's more of a ranch gal? You think because she's so bland, or do you think she's more of like a French or an Italian? You know, like spice it up with Doug.
No, I don't think there's much spicy about her relationship with Doug. Other than the fact that I think they probably do some interesting role reversal stuff. But I'll leave it at that because it still might be the dinner hour for some people out there in radio land.
Oh, so you're saying,
I don't want to be responsible for anybody losing their dinner.
Oh, I don't care. So you're saying
thinking about the second gentleman.
So you're saying that Doug is probably the submissive one compared to Kamala.
Is there a doubt? Is there a doubt?
No, I just wanted to be clear on that one.
And he leans into it.
Yeah, he probably does.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the only thing that's missing in that relationship is her leading him around in a leash. Like you see at these like leather conventions, you know? That's about it. Yes, ma'am, may I please have another? Uh-huh. Yeah, see, sorry.
Daddy owes you.
That's
right.
exactly what he says to her.
I'm pretty sure he calls Kamala daddy. You know what her favorite move is? The Venn diagram. Well, now that we've grossed everybody out.
Yes, you do.
Now that we've grossed everybody
I love Venn
out.
diagrams.
We know you do. Seriously, if you're walking down the street with your kid on Halloween and there's like, you know, it's dark out, and the leaves are rustling, and you hear Kamala Harris cackling, I'm going to be faster than Usain Bolt. I will be out of there.
Gmail on YouTube says maybe Matt has a crush on Kamala yet. I don't even know what that word is. Or maybe this is your way of dealing with it. She ain't bad looking for her old age.
No, you know, Gmail, I somewhat resent this because I am not so shallow that I only care about looks. I am still a big believer that personality is most of the attractiveness equation. True or false, Daniel?
True.
Yeah, like you can't say anything other because Bella's listening. And if you say anything other, she's going to think you're an awful person. But, yeah, I mean, we all know what I'm talking about here. And we're jumping around a little bit here in the first segment, but that's the way the Matt Rudy show goes. You know, someone can be a little bit rough on the eyes, but they have an amazing personality, and that gets them a couple points on the scale. Again, true or false? Absolutely. Conversely, someone could be very conventionally attractive, but have a personality that makes you want to jump out a window when you're in the same room with them for any specific length of time, or any significant length of time, I should say. So, no crush on Kamala Harris. What is William Kemp saying?
Doug is a Gillette guy.
He's We're all being quite naughty.
That's fine.
On tonight's show.
We had a lot of
It's a naughty show.
We had a lot of pent-up naughtiness
that's
the past 2 weeks.
That's what it is. We got to let our freak
Yeah.
flag fly here.
Yeah.
Daniel, you mean when you were on with Gary Arnell last week, and we appreciate Gary manning the ship while I was gone, you were a little less naughty?
Yeah.
Okay. I do hear that Gary's a fan of my boy Chris Christie, a.k.a. Fatty McThunder Biscuits.
Yeah, he didn't like the whole calling him Fatty McThunder Biscuits bit. And I was like, well, it's a Sunday, so, like, we got to.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Sunday night thing. So
that's what we do.
Yeah.
Around here, he's known as Fatty McThunder Biscuits. If you want to call Chris Christie something else and you want to mix it up, you can. You can call him Sloppy Mick Fatty Biscuits. I've heard that.
Sloppy Chris Christie.
Yeah, we like the creativity.
Sure. Yeah.
On this program, we encourage it.
Pizza the Hut.
Pizza the Hut.
Right.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hut.
Jabba the Christie.
Jar Jar Christie. I don't know.
Yeah. There's
a lot of different options here.
The opportunities and the possibilities are endless because the man is immense. He has his own gravitational field.
He's another planet.
Yeah, there are heavenly bodies that orbit around Chris Christie, who, for those of you that never met him, when I say he's fat, I just don't mean the guy is large. Like, he is actually...
He needs 2 seats on an airplane.
No, I'm saying he's perfectly round.
Yeah.
Like, those of you that have kids or were kids in the 90s, you remember Weebles? They wobble, but they don't fall down. He is a Weeble. Like, if they made a live-action Weeble movie, Chris Christie could be the star of said movie. He could be Mr. Weeble or whatever the name is of the Weeble guy. If this whole presidential primary thing doesn't work out, Chris, head out to Hollywood. They got Barbie now, right? And I hear they're making Polly Pocket.
Are
right?
they?
Yeah, they're making a Polly Pocket.
I know Hot Wheels movie was in the works too.
There's no original ideas, so we're just gonna.
Yeah.
So Christie can make a Weeble movie. I'll produce it. Maybe that's how he and I can come back together.
What do you know about producing?
What do you mean? What?
What do you know about producing?
What do I know about producing?
Yeah, especially movies.
I know what not to do from watching you every Sunday.
Well, without me, you would have no sound, no anything. So
I'd be happy. That's worth something.
Okay.
All right. 855-839-1210 is the number, by the way, here on the Matt Rooney Show, should you wish to call in and participate. And again, over on YouTube, youtube.com/at 1210WPHT, where you can not only view Daniel and I, but you can also participate in the comments thread, which is always lively. And by the way, we have a live in-station guest this week on the Matt Rooney Show. We'll be joined in our second of 3 hours around, about 8:30 p.m., I think we said, Dan?
Yeah.
Steve Dinistrian. For those of you that don't know, in New Jersey, we have off-cycle elections, so our entire legislature is up this year. So this is the last chance New Jersey has to turn the Assembly and the Senate red, Republican, and provide a meaningful check on Phil Murphy during the final years of his term in office. So it's a very important election, and GOP prospects in some of these battleground districts actually look pretty good. And one of them is Steve Dinistrian's district, the 11th district in New Jersey. For those that aren't familiar with Jersey geography, it's a short district. It takes in Asbury Park. Greetings from Asbury Park. So Steve will be here live with us in the studio next hour. And we've got everything else. We've got the Fatty McThunder Biscuits update. We've got Dan's fact of the week, I'm assuming.
Of course.
We've got in the final hour of tonight's program, the one, the only Twit Talk, which is always disturbing, sometimes interesting, usually funny.
Well, this week I'll give a little tease. I will be exposing myself. Not in that way, but...
Come again?
Yeah, you heard me.
You're going to be exposing yourself during...
Yeah, it's kind of be a little bit of a roast session for me, but it's fine.
Okay. All right. Well,
More exclusive audio, but it's actually real exclusive audio.
Now that we lost our entire audience. Except for the second gentleman. He's probably still...
Well, he's probably...
He's all in for it. So it's a great show. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. Sometimes you need to laugh to avoid crying. That's our philosophy here on the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT. Again, 855-839-1210. Quick break to play some ads and make some money. We are capitalists around here. And then we'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Are you waking up soaking wet? Don't worry, you didn't wet the bed. It's sweat. which means your air conditioning probably needs service or needs to be replaced. Summer is still here for a few more months. If you want a company who's been servicing some of the same customers for 3 generations with honest pricing, no gimmicks, and factory-trained technicians, then Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning is for you. Visit us at marvinecans.com. That's marvinekANZE.com.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-324-0231. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-324-0231 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-324-0231 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-324-0231.
Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics. 215-999-3000.
Hey, Warminster. We know your favorite station is WPHT.
Tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
By the way, producer Daniel, loving the new Matt Rooney show Skin? Is that what we would call it for the YouTube
Thumbnail.
stream?
Thumbnail.
Yeah. Me with one of my lawyer headshots looking like I'm on a billboard.
Yeah.
On I-76.
Yep.
Call Matt Rooney and he'll help you recover.
Yeah.
Right?
What are you, a race baiter now? Ambulance chaser?
What does that have to do with race?
I don't
Everything's
know.
race with you.
Yeah.
With you Gen Zers.
Yeah.
You're obsessed.
Yep.
It's hard to believe you guys are allowed to vote in election 2024. It just ain't right.
Sorry.
No, there's nothing we can do about it now.
Nope.
It is what it is. That cake is baked. Speaking of election 2024, I mentioned before that I was out last week. Didn't have anything to do with vacation, actually. I was celebrating my daughter's birthday. Had a great time, big old family shindig. Lots of fun. But I did take some time off recently, and I just got back this afternoon from the Granite State, New Hampshire. I was up there in the first presidential primary state, and it's quite an experience for August because, you know, if you live in the Delaware Valley, where we are based here on 1210 WPHT, you know that Pennsylvania being competitive around, well, at least I guess most cycles in November, certainly in the last couple presidential elections, you are inundated with ads nonstop. You're watching a show, 3 political ads. You're watching a show, 6 political ads. You go on YouTube to try to find a video to help you fix something in your bathroom, you get a political ad. That's how it is right now in New Hampshire already. These poor people are getting carpet bombed on a daily basis by advertising. And I saw a ton of Nikki Haley ads. She's spending heavily in New Hampshire right now, or at least she must be. Because, again, every single time something was on, the minute they went to a commercial break, there was at least one Nikki Haley ad. And then there'd be someone else also thrown in the mix. Like was it the governor of, is it South Dakota or North Dakota?
Who?
Burgum.
Doug Burgum?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Not to be an East Coast elite, but I always forget whether he's North Dakota or
North
South
Dakota.
Is it North? Right. Because South Dakota
Chrissy Nome.
Yes, no, that's correct. So he's running some ads too. He has personal money. I don't know how he made it, but he's got some cash to spend, and apparently is. Lots of ads up in New Hampshire. I thought about wearing a shirt that said "Ask me about Chris Christie" while I was up there, so that residents of the Granite State could ask me about my former governor and why he's such a terrible human being. But my wife yes, that is the Chris Christie update music for those that are new to the program.
Well, it's just anything Christie. You know, anything we talk about Chris Christie, it has to come on.
Can I get a little bit of volume on that?
Sure.
Because when you play it, I actually start involuntarily shifting side to side.
Which he can't do easily.
Well, no, not easily. You know how they have trackers on campaigns?
Yeah.
That follow around rival candidates with cameras?
Yeah.
Look, I'm just giving, free political advice here to Chris Christie's opponents. You should have someone go to his events playing that song on a boombox. They still make boomboxes?
Probably.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Would.
Yeah. So
I'd have to go to that one.
Did not see any Christie ads in New Hampshire, despite the fact that he's now polling in a very distant, I guess one poll has him in second, Emerson.
Well, I mean,
he's
he
in
went
third
on,
place in the RCP
well,
average.
He went on one of those shows and said that he's basically leading in New Hampshire. So according to him, he's the best there is in New Hampshire. So.
He says a lot of things.
Well, he also eats a lot of things too.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. He eats plenty of things.
Bix on the YouTube stream said the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Good time for Halloween.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
It's good.
Yeah, little Ghostbuster homage there.
Yeah.
We got a good one over on Twitter too, or X. I don't know how long it's going to take me to start calling it X.
Twitter and X go to the same thing.
Newman Price over on Twitter says the Garden State Glutton.
Good one.
That's not bad, right?
It's a good one.
Yes, like the Garden State reference.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. I'm assuming, for the purposes of tonight's class, that most of you saw the Republican debate on Wednesday out in Milwaukee. I don't think, and Dan, did you watch it? I know you try to do as little homework as possible outside of the show.
Did I watch it? No, because I knew we were talking about it the Monday or the morning after, so I was just like, I'll get all my stuff for the morning.
Right, so you knew Nick Cale and Greg Stocker and Dawn Stensland would tell you what you felt you needed to know about the debate.
Well, not what I felt I needed to know, but they basically covered the whole thing.
You're right. Okay, that makes sense. So it's kind of like it was the Cliff Notes version.
It's basically, who had the biggest takeaway, who was basically the loser, all that kind of stuff.
You didn't go to class, but you got a really good outline.
There you go.
So you could take the test.
There
Okay, I got you. Chief. So this is just one, but you're listening to this show, so presumably you care what this one man's opinion is because you're tuning in. I didn't think there were any standouts in the Republican primary debate. Donald Trump's absence obviously loomed quite large over the proceedings, not as large as Chris Christie, and that's the last fat joke for a little while, I promise. No standouts, and I think that's what someone needed to do, right? Assuming that there's someone on the stage that actually has designs on winning the Republican nomination. You needed to do something and to take advantage of Donald Trump's absence to convince not just undecided Republican primary voters and that 45 to 50% that's not voting for Donald Trump that you're the guy or the gal who should carry the GOP standard forward, but you also would have needed to make a compelling argument to Trump voters that at the very least, you're a viable alternative to Donald Trump. I don't think anyone succeeded at that. The one who perhaps came the closest was Vivek Ramaswamy.
It's my guy.
Yeah, and it is Vivek, by the way.
It's
Vivek.
It's not. It's Vivek.
No, he said it's Vivek. Rhymes with cake.
Right.
He said that the other day.
Vivek.
That's what I just said.
You said Vivek. You're enunciating the... I don't know why... We're not getting into this. We're like an old married couple.
Why can't you park closer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, You're right. We should leave our marital squabbles.
Do you want to go to divorce court?
Well, I mean, why are you always dropping divorce on me? Shouldn't we at least start with therapy? Shouldn't we try to fix this?
No. There's time away from you. Just really.
How can we be lovers if we can't be friends? How can we start over when the fighting never ends?
I mean, that last week.
How
every
can we
week
make
that you're
love
off
when we can't make amends?
Every week you're off, I just miss you more and more, and then I'm like, no, I don't.
You see, you're just trying to hurt me now, and this is not. I'm not gonna let you do it.
I got to build you up, don't I? Here, let me tell you something. Let me get nice real close.
Daddy owes you.
That's right.
All right, Daddy. This show's terrible.
No.
I wouldn't listen to this. This is gross. It's just gross tonight.
Yo, Richard Hoffman says, I love the show. It actually wouldn't be as good if we prepared.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's true.
That's probably true. We do more prep than you think.
We do a lot of prep. And
the key is to make it look like we're not prepping.
Yeah, we do a lot of prep throughout the week, and then all of a sudden the mics turn on, and everything just goes out the window.
Yeah, no, that's more accurate.
Yeah.
That's more accurate.
Yeah.
But your boy Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
If you want
Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy. If there is a winner, it was him because he got most of the attention. They made
I mean, I personally agree, but you had, Fox saying DeSantis or Nikki Haley won.
Well, because look, I mean, nothing against Fox News, but they have an agenda. They don't want Trump to win. They're not big fans of the Donald. And Ramaswamy, not only does he probably have no chance of overcoming Donald Trump, but he's running a campaign where part of his strategy is that he is complimentary of Donald Trump. He is the Trump defender on the stage. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they said that he wasn't the winner, but I don't know how. Look, because remember how these things are judged, right? Because most people are not watching the entire thing. So generating audio is very important during a debate because while many people are not watching, maybe they were watching Trump and Tucker, maybe they were doing nothing at all, they're going to see that viral clip. And he had 2 exchanges with Chris Christie, which had viral moments. One is when Chris Christie compared Ramaswamy to ChatGPT, right? Because he gave an answer that was very similar to an answer Barack Obama gave back in 2008. So that's what Christie does. He tried to Marco Rubio Vivek Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy didn't take it laying down, though. He jumped in and parried when Chris Christie was attacking Donald Trump, and I think delivered an answer which goes to the heart of why the former governor of New Jersey is such a fraud, and his approval ratings among Republicans and all voters for that matter, Democrats, Independents, Martians, Communists, everyone, continues to not just circle the drain, but is currently already in the tubes on the way to the sewer. So in case you missed this is, I think, one of Vivek Ramaswamy's best answers of the evening.
You raise your hand supporting.
No, I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
And you could hear Brett Baer trying to shut it down, right? This is not the approved script for the presidential debate. They wanted a ton of people attacking Donald Trump. They wanted an anti-Trump commercial for an hour, 90 minutes, however long it was. So it felt like it went on for 3 years. Ramaswamy cutting to the heart of the Christie fraud. And look, I mean, Chris Christie, just because I'm not a fan of his, that doesn't mean that you disregard the fact that the man is a very skilled politician. Arguably, he's the most talented politician on the stump since Bill Clinton in the 1990s.
I don't know. I have sexual relations with that woman. Sorry.
Your Clinton impression is kind of more of a deep South accent.
Yeah.
It's got way too much molasses in there. Because he's over from Arkansas, which is, considered a southern state, but it's
too teethy.
It's too much molasses. Yeah, it's like a little slow down
I
here.
did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I did not have sexual. I can't do a good one, but that's the cadence. It's more like
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just giving you notes because you said before that I'm not a good producer, but I do have producing instincts. I want you to be the best you.
Thanks, boss.
Well, that's what a good boss does, right? I'm the quarterback of this Matt Rooney Show team.
I guess I'm like, what, the fourth string?
No, you're first string in my heart.
Makes me feel giddy.
Right here. Well, don't. I can hear makes me feel giddy. I can hear the excitement in your voice.
Secret Scroll says he sounds like Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton.
Well, if you spend enough time with someone, I guess you start to sound like them. Didn't Tucker ask Trump about that?
Yeah, it was irrelevant.
And Trump's answer was like a very typical Trumpian answer. I know that's a lot of people saying. Lots of people are saying. And it turned into a discussion of how Bill Barr didn't do his job and made a misstatement concerning the investigation or something like that. I was going back and forth. I was watching the Republican debate, and then I was getting bored, and then I was listening to Trump and Tucker, which I thought was, if you're grading simply on the basis of what's more entertaining, that was more entertaining. Trump and Tucker having this, wide-ranging conversation about all these, interesting topics that are currently being batted around in the public discourse. That was more fun. But it was also, nothing new. Trump's material is mostly not fresh at this point. So I, would get my fill of that. Then I go back and I'd say, okay, no, Matt, you have a website, you have a radio show, you have to swallow this medicine and listen to this Republican debate so you can talk about it on Sunday evening. But it was hard. It was hard. There wasn't a lot of originality. There was a little bit of daylight between the candidates when it came to Ukraine, right? Ramaswamy definitely in the camp that it's not something that's in the national interest of the United States to be over there spending billions of dollars, no question asked. And then you've got Chris Christie on the other end, who was recently quoted as saying that we're not spending enough money in Ukraine. So one criticism that I continue to have at these debates, and I don't think this is original to yours truly, I get what they're trying to do. I get that there's political considerations. There's campaigns that you have to try to work with because you're not trying to alienate factions of the party. But there is no excuse ever to have an 8-person debate. It's too many people. It's a clown car. And there's not enough time to drill down on consequential topics that aren't just important but need a little more discussion. In other words, Ukraine, that's a massive topic right now, not just because it's a significant conflict in our world and a very important foreign policy issue, but also one which clearly illustrates, as I said a moment ago, the differences that currently exist within the Republican coalition. So that's something that, if maybe you had 4 candidates on the stage, you could get a little deeper into, but you can't when you've got 8. And then to make matters worse, the Fox panelists I thought they did a very mediocre job at best with their question formulation. We've talked about this before on the Matt Rooney Show. I am a believer in UFOs, okay? Dan made fun of me for this. I don't care. I don't let him define me anymore. But with everything going on, is that the most important question for a presidential debate? One of the most important elections of our lifetime when you've got 8 candidates and therefore you have limited opportunity to get a lot of important things in? I don't think so. We didn't need the UFO question. It was almost as if they couldn't come up with or didn't want to. Is that... Do I hear something over the studio right now? Louis Farrakhan, is that you? Dan doesn't know who Louis Farrakhan is, by the way.
Sorry, just the UFOs going over. I just got to wait for it to pass.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry. Oh. I think we're done.
We're done?
Oh. Nope.
Nope. There you go.
Now we are. Okay.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Elon and Joe Rogan are off to their next podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, do you think I'm wrong? Should they have asked about UFOs?
No, it was irrelevant. What does that have to do with anything? That question is going to be like, oh, an average person is going to be like, wow, I really like this candidate now because I answered this about UFOs. Like, no one gives an S.
Yeah. William Kemp over on YouTube says Christie and Hutchinson are there for the Lincoln Project. I mean, yeah, Hutchinson's even harder to figure out because Chris Christie is at least a talented entertainer. I don't find his current shtick very entertaining. It's obnoxious to me, but you can't deny the guy's skilled. Hutchinson, I have no idea what he is hoping to get out of this. Maybe he's bored. I don't know if he's married. Maybe his wife wants him out of the house. Couldn't tell you. But you have to look at Chris Christie and the substance of his critiques of the Trump administration, and you come to, even without knowing the history as I do, because I covered him closely when he was governor of New Jersey, the guy's just a rank opportunist, man. I mean, he's willing to say what the media wants him to say in order to continue to maintain a certain degree of relevancy, to get those black SUVs to come pick him up and whisk him away to green rooms to, appear on talk shows Monday through Friday and on Sunday. There's no other explanation because, I mean, anyone who's likely to win this nomination, do you think that they're going to put Chris Christie in their cabinet? I guess anything's possible. So, bottom line, Republican primary debate, numero uno, not very helpful if you're undecided and you're trying to make a decision, unless you view Donald Trump as the incumbent and he's your default, and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm probably going to vote for him, but if somebody else impresses me, I'm willing to consider it. Chances are no one gave you anything to consider. That's just my suspicion. 855-839-1210 is the number here at the Matt Rooney Show. Again, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We're going to take a break, and then are we done for the hour, Dan?
Yeah.
We're done for the... God, hour one is already in the can?
Yep.
All right, but we've got plenty more ahead in our numero deuce, including we have an in-station visit from Steve Dinistrian, one of New Jersey's Senate candidates in the upcoming election. An interesting guy. We're going to talk about parental rights. We're going to talk about the whales. We're going to try to fit in some other stuff, too, here at 1210 WPHT. Let's take a break, get some caffeine, and we'll be back in a moment.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Summer items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to charity. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Pastor Brad Lacey here, First Baptist Church, Conshohocken. Join us Saturdays for the great message and be blessed. 5 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
When you shop Goodwill, you don't just bring home a vintage dress or cat lamp. You bring home so much good to your community because everything you buy funds local job training and more. Goodwill, bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Don't let them silence you. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
I explicitly asked Daniel, I said, are we done for the hour? And he goes, oh, yeah, we're done for the hour. And then I stand up to stretch, and I'm about to go fill my coffee thermos here. And he's looking at me like, where are you going? Because we still have a short segment left. Communication is key to a relationship, Dan.
No, I thought you said, are we done for the hour after this break? That's what I thought you meant. I mean, that's bad job on me.
Yeah,
it's bad job on me.
I'm deeply disappointed.
I'm not going to blame it on you. I guess it's my fault, but, it's not like I know when to go on break and when not to, so.
When you're humble, it's hard to be mad at you.
Yeah,
Well, let's leave everyone with a treat for the hour then. Joe Biden out in Lake Tahoe taking his latest vacation. All the guy does is vacation. We all have that friend or that family member who just seems like they're never in the office. They are constantly traveling. No, that's not true. I'm in the office a lot. It just seems like that because we have a Sunday show. How dare you, Daniel? How dare you?
Hold on. Kalama. She said it best. Where is it?
Kalama?
How dare they?
How dare they? Well, Joe Biden out in Lake Tahoe, how dare he, once again vacationing while the American people grapple with rising interest rates, crippling inflation. You don't need me to give you the litany. You know it by heart. But maybe the worm is turning here because he did not get much of a reception from the American people. Listen up.
Talking to UAW, obviously I'm concerned. I think that there should be a circumstance where the jobs that are being displaced, replaced with new jobs, they should go to the first choice should go to the UAW members who had the job, and the salary should be commensurate.
Wow. Not too friendly out there in Lake Tahoe. Biden was booed, but of course, the media continues to try to carry water for their boy. It's an open question as to whether they're going to continue to. Because with Joe Biden's approval ratings continuing to circle the toilet bowl here, they're going to have to cut bait at some point. Because we all know what they don't want. They don't want a Republican to win in 2024. So are they going to jettison him for Newsom or someone else? Remains to be seen. But the New York Times still doing their job. This is the headline. Presidential business follows Biden on vacation. President Biden's week-long vacation to Lake Tahoe has been punctuated by crisis at home and abroad. This is Erica Green. On Thursday, from a sprawling mansion on Lake Tahoe, President Biden spoke with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, commemorating the country's Independence Day and discussing the commencement of training its military fighter pilots. On Wednesday, by the time Biden joined his family for a Pilates class, Biden doing Pilates? That doesn't sound safe. Just throwing that out there. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on the radio, but Biden had signed a disaster declaration to help Alaska recover from historic flooding, gotten word of an active shooter in Pittsburgh, and been briefed on reports that the mercenary leader Prigozhin had died in a plane crash in Russia. And on Monday, he flew to Hawaii to tour a coastal town that had been scorched by deadly wildfires. Mr. Biden met with hundreds of grieving residents on the one-day trip, which included 10 hours of flying and 2 helicopter rides. So do you see what's happening here? They could have written a much shorter article and just said, hey, everybody, we know that everything stinks right now, and Joe Biden's approval rating is in the toilet. There's a new Fox poll that has his handling of the economy at 39%, which is pretty much close family and paid staffers approving of you. But what this New York Times story is trying to communicate is, hey, he's actually working. He's actually doing something. We know he's hanging out in Lake Tahoe at a Pilates class with, I guess, Hunter Biden. I guess it's impressive for Hunter with all the drugs he's done. Or maybe if you're going to hang out with that many hookers, you need to do Pilates on a regular basis. I, again, can't speak from experience on that one. But they're trying to create the illusion of a commander-in-chief that is on the job when you and I both know that he's not. He's not the one that's quarterbacking this administration. Other people are calling the shots. He's essentially a figurehead at this point. Erica Green, who writes for the New York Times, wants you to believe otherwise. But the proof is in the pudding. Just take this Hawaiian situation, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse because I know this has gotten plenty of coverage on this station and elsewhere over the course of the last week. But, I mean, have you noticed something about Joe Biden? We are told over and over again how compassionate he is, how much he loves the American people, how much average guy Joe is in touch with the everyman in this country. Yet whenever there's an opportunity for him to fly somewhere and be that kind of pastor-in-chief for the country, the comforter-in-chief, it's been called in prior administrations, he's absent. It still hasn't been to Ohio after that chemical spill. Took him forever to get to Hawaii. He eventually went to Hawaii, presumably because it's a blue state, but it's not one that's typically competitive, so it wasn't a high priority for him. Ohio votes Republican and is very likely to do so again this year, so he couldn't be bothered. I mean, what kind of man is this? And that's without even getting into the substance of his positions, whether you like what he's doing in Ukraine, whether you agree with his position on taxes, critical race theory, whatever. I mean, what kind of human being is this that either doesn't have the inclination or the ability to do the job?
Daddy owes you.
Call him what you want. I just want Daddy to work, Dan. We've got big problems in this country.
My daddy hasn't come back from the grocery line. Apparently, he said it was too long getting milk. He said he was getting milk about 12 years ago and still hasn't come back. I guess the line is just that long.
Daddy went out for cigarettes, never came home.
Yeah, so I guess in reality,
Daddy owes you.
Daddy owes me.
855-839-1210 is the number. This time, we're really going to take a break for the hour. And when we return, we've got our in-station guest, Steve Dinistrian, and then plenty more from our region and beyond on The Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT. Back in a sec.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
At least 3 people die over the weekend in shootings around Philadelphia. Vigils in Jacksonville after a shooting police say was racially motivated killed 3 shoppers at a dollar store. And Philadelphia schools will use AI to improve communication with parents and taxpayers alike.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Suicide is something that affects all of us, and we can all play a part in saving lives. Join the movement to fight suicide and to make a difference in your community by walking out of the darkness with us on Sunday, October 1st at the Philadelphia Art Museum. Help spread awareness and understanding. Send the message that help is available and raise funds for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Register today at afsp.org/PhillyWalk. That's afsp.org/PhillyWalk.
My name's Michaela. I joined the Army at 17. When I got back from Iraq a few years ago, I became pregnant and ended up homeless.
No veteran should ever face homelessness. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is working hard to end veteran homelessness by the end of 2015. VA offers programs to help eligible veterans stay healthy, find a job, and secure or maintain safe, stable housing. With a simple call to 877-424-3838, specialists can connect veterans to the services and support they have earned, regardless of their branch or era of service.
My life works now. I got help from VA, and now I'm on a mission to share these resources.
VA is here to help. If you or a veteran you know is homeless or at immediate risk of becoming homeless, call 877-424-3838 or chat online at va.gov/homeless.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to today's graduation ceremony. Students, when you hear the reason or reasons for your absences throughout the years, please exit the auditorium without your high school diploma. Once you've exited, remove your cap and gown and proceed into the unknown. Too tired. Family trip. Part-time job. Helping around the house. Sick day. Starting the holidays early. Just because.
Starting in the 6th grade, students who miss 18 days or more of school in a year for any reason will fall behind and risk not graduating high school. How many days of school has your child missed this year? Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
Hey, Paoli, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Welcome back, old friends, new frenemies, and all who lie elsewhere in between on the spectrum that is life. I am Matt Rooney. This is the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT. Honored, pleasured, happy, delighted. Just sometimes it's beyond words. Can't find the right superlative to express how I feel to be with you here on Philly radio on Sunday nights. 855-839-1210 is the number. Or if you want to do what the cool kids are doing, you can go over to YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, where you can not only listen, but you can see with your eyes what we do here every week on the Matt Rooney Show. And I am, of course, joined by the one, the only. He's irreplaceable, although I try on a regular basis. He is our Latinx correspondent. He is our Gen Z representative.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
His personality is non-binary and also sometimes bipolar.
I like using us a pronouns specifically. Us a.
Us a.
Us a. USA. USA. USA.
Oh, my God. The one, the only, Dan Valdez.
That's me.
How are you tonight, Daniel?
Living the dream.
I was out last week. You were here last week. We're together this week. You're out next week.
Yep.
This whole on and again, off again thing is just dizzying for people.
I'm sorry. I have a life to live.
What are you doing next weekend? Is something we could talk about on air?
Sure.
Or is it deeply private?
No, I'm going to Colorado for a family wedding.
Oh, you told me this.
Yes.
Yes. If I was a decent human, I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Colorado. I like Colorado.
Colorado's great.
Beautiful state.
So I will be leaving.
Getting a little hippie-ish because of the California diaspora. You know, people have been leaving California because, Gavin Newsom and the leftists out there are destroying it.
So I will be, did I say California?
No, you said Colorado, and
okay.
I said it's getting a little hippie-ish
Oh,
because
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Californians
All right,
are
yeah.
fleeing from the
Right,
state they
right.
ruined.
Okay. I leave Friday, come back Tuesday, so wedding's on a Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll miss
Should be-
you.
Yeah, should be a good time.
But look, when you return, next weekend's Labor Day weekend, I will be here on the Matt Rooney Show holding down the fort. John Cole will be here. We've already got a couple guests lined up. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So if you're having a backyard barbecue, if you're going back and forth from the Jersey Shore, if you're just, hanging out on Sunday night, there will be content here on the Matt Rooney Show, and it'll be a good one. But then, we'll be back after Labor Day, and presumably at that point, we're kind of here, right? I don't have any more vacations planned until at least the holidays. So you and I will be doing our thing this fall.
Yeah, until we get cut for football. Or
Well,
baseball.
it happens.
Yeah.
But that's fine because sometimes I want to watch football.
Okay. Sure.
Is that the wrong answer?
You can watch football all you want. I don't care what you do with your life.
Do you miss me on those weekends? Is that the problem?
No, I'm glad I'm not here.
know, you're tough, man. You really are tough. All right. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. I will try, and I make this promise every week. I go on my rants. We're talking about things that are interesting to me, and I think it's interesting to you, which is why I'm talking about it. To make matters worse, Dan is a little bit of a curmudgeon when it comes to the phone lines. He has unrealistic standards for calls. If we were talking about something 15 minutes ago and he's no longer interested in it, he will not put it on air. And I explained to him, Dan, that's not how it works.
That's exactly how that works.
No,
I'm going to stand by. Exactly. This is not an open forum show. Okay, if it has something to do with what we're talking about, they can call. If it has nothing to talk about, and they're like, "Oh, I want to comment on something from an hour ago," tough luck, buddy. No.
Why are you the way that you are? It's not hospitable. It's not how you treat an audience.
We got to move this show along.
We love our listeners.
Right, but we got to move this show along. We can't just sit here and be like, "Oh, let's go back to what we said an hour ago. Let's go back to what we said 2 months ago." No.
You're a turkey.
Keep it along, people.
You really are a turkey. All right, well, let's. Was that a real turkey noise from you? That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Remember that for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Not as good as my whale, of course.
No, obviously not. Nothing's as good as your whale. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm trying to get confirmation, but I heard that we had another dead whale in the last few days. Dead humpback. So I think this one was up near Rockaway Beach, New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once again,
yeah.
Total coincidence that they're ramping up all of this offshore wind development activity. No connection at all. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I promised I would do the phone lines. Let's see what we got on the phone lines here. I'm going to look at the list here. Alex. We have Alex on the line who has a question about, I think, the 2024 Democrat nomination. Is that right, Dan?
Yep.
All right. Alex, you are on the Matt Rooney Show with Matt Rooney. Good evening.
I wanted to tell you that I enjoy what you do on the weekends. I wish you were around more often.
Well, I appreciate that. See, Dan, this is how you're nice. This is how you behave when you're an adult. And when we have nice people like Alex on the line, you should take their call more frequently. He's ignoring me right now, Alex. He's deliberately not making eye contact. Well, I appreciate your kind words. What's on your mind?
Yeah, you guys are entertaining. Hey, listen, I think Hillary feels she was cheated in 2016. I think that she's got a chip on her shoulder. I can imagine. I don't know why she wouldn't. And I think that since Biden is damaged goods, I can see where it would play out that she would be the Democratic candidate. What do you think about that?
Don't count it out. Don't count it out whatsoever. I don't know if you saw this, Alex, but Bernie Sanders is making headlines. I mentioned at the beginning of tonight's show that I was up in New Hampshire this weekend. It's all over that Bernie is coming to New Hampshire to deliver a State of the Democrat Party address, what he thinks Democrats should be talking about in the current cycle and beyond. We all know Bernie has had presidential aspirations. Hillary, she had that infamous encounter, I think it was with Rachel Maddow on the night of Trump's indictment, where they were on air together, cackling like banshees, celebrating this dark past in the history of our republic. I think that they are all circling, Alex, like vultures right now, waiting to see if Joe Biden stumbles and doesn't make it to the starting line. Forget about the finish line, right? There's an open question as to whether he's even going to actually appear on the ballot in these Democrat primaries. He might not be able to. So I think that your intuition is correct. I think it's entirely possible you could get a rematch of Trump v. Clinton 2016. And for the Republican Party, selfishly, that may be your best chance of winning in 2024 because we all know Trump is polarizing, rightly or wrongly. The one person who remains more polarizing than Donald Trump is the Hill Dog. Who do you think wins that matchup? Do you think I'm off base?
No, I think that it's going to be Trump and Hillary. And the thing is, the Dems cheat so good. I mean, they're so good at it. And I don't think this time around, because Pennsylvania is a different state than it was back when in 2016. He may not be able to. Trump may not be able to win Pennsylvania, and that may be the wild card there. So you never know. I mean, he's as winnable as he is. There may be issues with him carrying the general election, which it would be sad because I am a great supporter of Donald Trump's, but there's just too much. Nothing's been fixed from the last time when all that funny business went on with the election. Nothing's been fixed. So it's going to just be a replay with a different person running against Trump. That's it.
You raise a very interesting point, though, Alex, about elections and cheating and being stolen. And by the way, thanks again for calling into 1210 WPHT. Hillary Clinton was the original election denier. Well, that's not entirely true. Al Gore was the original election denier back in 2000. Took him forever to concede defeat in Florida. Since then, we have numerous examples of Democrats refusing to accept election results. And yet Donald Trump this past week indicted in Georgia for essentially doing the same thing, right? And the RNC has a great mashup. We do not have time to play it all for Alex and for everyone out there in the listening audience. But let's give you a taste. The RNC has a video of 12 solid minutes of Democrats denying election results. They're all in there. The Hill Dog is in there. Stacey Abrams is in there. They're all there. Listen to this.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
How can you win with Russian interference, though?
That's a real
what I'm
thing.
scared about in 2020.
But rightly.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win. So how do you fight against that in 2020?
You are absolutely right.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
I have an objection.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina.
I object because people are horrified.
He's an illegitimate president.
And that is only what, Dan? About a minute of the 12?
Minute 17.
Minute 17 of the 12 minutes. On and on and on and on. Did I miss it? I'm pretty good at staying on top of the news cycle, but life is busy, and it's always possible. But I don't recall any of those individuals you just heard, and some of them are among the most prominent Democrats in the media and in elected office that we've had in this country over the course of the past several years. I don't recall a single one of them being indicted for trying to steal, derail, interfere with the results of an election. Stacey Abrams still hasn't conceded her first loss. She ran again and still has not conceded the first time she got her butt kicked. Where are the indictments? Where are the grand juries being convened and asked to consider charges in order to protect our sacred democracy? Where is it? Where are they? It's almost as if these charges that are being brought against Donald Trump and his alleged co-conspirators really aren't about the actual commission of crimes. Call me crazy. It's almost as if the true purpose of this particular indictment in Georgia, but you could argue the rest of them as well, is to silence political opponents. Chiefly, the front runner for the Republican nomination, you could almost argue the presumptive Republican nominee for 2024, and many of his closest associates. And you could say the same of the document case down in Florida. Even if you somehow think there's a legal theory, a viable legal theory to prosecute Donald Trump for any of this, it doesn't pass the smell test when the decision to charge is nakedly partisan. It's nakedly partisan. And this is what our Democrat friends, when you confront them on this point specifically, if they answer you at all, they try to change the subject because there isn't a good answer for it. If we, in a free country, are going to make a decision as to whether to charge someone based upon whether there's an R or a D at the end of their name, that's it. That's banana republic status. Game over. We're done. We're no better than these foreign dictatorships that we virtue signal about on a day-to-day basis on stations like MSNBC and CNN and elsewhere. You know, I'm no fan of Putin. He's a bad dude. And I do believe there is a compelling national interest in countering Putin because, if for no other reason, he is a puppet of China. Right? Now, whether we're going about it the right way, that's something that should be open to a reasonable discussion by reasonable people. They don't want to have that discussion. We should have that discussion. But how can you sit here and criticize regimes for their undemocratic behavior when you are behaving similarly here in this country? You're patterning the people that you are alleging are a threat to human civilization. It doesn't add up, but it's always a mistake, and I always tell our listeners week in and week out, don't try to apply logic to what the left does, because there's no actual logic behind any of it. There's no moral center to be found in their arguments and their positions. They have one goal, the advancement of leftism, the triumph of socialism, the final victory of their agenda. And whatever they have to do or say to get to that end point, that is what they are prepared to do. And that is the ultimate weakness of the GOP, right? Because most of us don't live our lives that way. We believe in rules. We believe in right and wrong. We believe, no, there are certain times when there are certain things that are not justified by the end goal. And it's one of the reasons why the left continues to make headway. Let's see what next year brings. 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. Again, youtube.com/@1210WPHT is how you can watch and participate via the YouTubes, via the social media platform. And Andrea over on YouTube says, hey, Matt, that geeky pic is up on YouTube. I know. It's my lawyer shot. That's what Dan decided to use. We really need to get new headshots. Dan and I need to have a photo session. No comment?
Only if it's in chaps.
Well, do you want to do what you and Bella did?
Oh,
is that what you're saying?
You want to do an old-time photo?
You want to do like an old-timey photo?
Yeah, I mean, we can.
We still have a week before the Boardwalk bodegas start to close. You and I could go down to Wildwood or Ocean City. And
when do they close?
Well, it depends on the place. Some of them close for good on Labor Day for the season. Some of them, if the weather's decent, they'll stay open September, even into October. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got to move quick,
yeah,
basically what I'm trying to say.
Let me put it on my calendar.
Yeah. See if you can work me in.
Yeah.
Again, 855-839-1210 is the number here on the Matt Rooney Show. Let's take a break. Back with more in a minute.
For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
Ah, summer. Time to head to the pool, hit the links, and enjoy some Phillies baseball.
It clears the out-of-town scoreboard by a couple of rows. Bryson Stott has put the Phillies on top.
With the free Odyssey app, you can stream every Phillies game on 94 WIP, no matter what you're doing this summer.
JT's in at second, and he's hit for the cycle.
Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. That's AUDACY.
Pastor Brad Lacey here, First Baptist Church, Conshohocken. Join us Saturdays for the great message and be blessed. 5 a.m. right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
One 877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1 877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids.
KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Also on the web at carsforkids.com. That's Cars with a K. We're a recognized 501c3 charity organization, so you'll receive a maximum tax deduction. What's more, you'll receive a free vacation voucher of 3 days and 2 nights.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
As a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan, joining IAVA.org really helps in the transition home. It's a network of OIF and OEF vets like me who've got your back here, just like we did over there. That means when you need help navigating the GI Bill, we've got your back. And when you're dealing with the transition home, we've got your back. Or when you just want someone to share stories with, we've got your back. Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America is there for you. Join our community at IAVA.org. We've got your back.
Brought to you by IAVA and the Ad Council.
I'm a radio guy. Always have been. I grew up with radio and still love it today. I love talk, music, and great personalities. I used to have satellite, and I've tried internet stations, but you know what? Local radio is still my favorite. Then I found HD radio. Now I get all the stations I've always listened to, plus a lot more I never knew were there. The coolest part? I bought an HD radio for just $50, and I pay no monthly subscription fees. So if you like radio, you'll love HD radio.
More stations, no monthly fees. HD radio, a good deal more.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's perfect. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Vision loss doesn't define us.
And we are here to let those challenged with blinding retinal diseases know.
But together, we are stronger.
We are the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
A short segment that we're All right, our guest is in the studio and setting up. As promised, Steve Dinistrian. We'll have him live here in 5 or 6 minutes, something like that. Is that my timing correct, Dan? Yeah, 5 or 6 minutes.
4.
4?
You can't do girl math, can you?
Why is it girl math? You know, you
don't know the whole girl math trend?
No. I just assumed it was more of your poisonous gender normativity in there.
No, there's a such thing called girl math.
What is girl math?
Essentially, it's things that don't add up, you know? It's like, oh, well, it's this time, plus it's this time, so therefore it's time to go, like, shopping, you know? It's girl math.
Yeah. I see. Okay.
I could be wrong. That's more of a Bella question, so she's more than welcome to tell me what it is, because she said she's good at it. So.
Yeah, Bella just says she's good at it.
Yeah, girl math is a thing.
I still would like to have Bella on sometime.
Speaking of that, she will be here this Sunday I get back, so the 10th.
Hold the phones here. So we're together this week.
Correct.
Next week you're taking a powder.
Yeah.
And I've got John Cole, the great John Cole.
Yeah.
And then the following week, which let's see. That's
the 10th.
September 10th, Bella will be in studio?
So the reason why, and it's not like I just decided, hey, come on. She wanted to see what the studio was like. So I was like, sure, you can come in. I don't care. And I was like, I mean, you're also more than welcome to participate on air if you wanted to as well.
Right.
And she said, okay, that's fine. So I'll set her up and co-host and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
So
lovely. So she's going to be here for the whole show.
Yeah.
What a program that will be.
Whole 3 hours, yeah.
To kick off the fall season.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice lattes on me.
No.
What do you mean no?
I'm not a big fan.
You're not a big fan?
What are you, a white girl?
But
hi, my name's Matt. I like my pumpkin spice lattes.
I think your basic white girl voice is one of your best.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one man's opinion. Yeah. Of all your impressions,
that's probably
that ranks very highly.
That's probably my most perfected one.
But it confuses me a little bit, though.
Okay, that's good.
Because you're Mr. Halloween, so I would have thought the whole pumpkin thing is something that would resonate with you.
No.
What it is, you're just that guy that wants to be too cool for school. Steve's nodding. He agrees.
I'm a big
everybody likes pumpkin spice, so I have to be against
big caramel guy, but pumpkin spice, I'm not a big pumpkin guy in general.
Not a big pumpkin guy?
No, I don't like pumpkin pie. The only thing I like, and I'm going to get probably bashed by both of you, pumpkin pie Pop-Tarts. Slap.
That sounds disgusting.
Oh, they're so good.
That sounds disgusting. Of all the pumpkin products you could pick.
I hear a taste test coming.
All right. Well, we'll bring in, look, I'll bring lattes. Bella can bring pumpkin Pop-Tarts, I guess. William over on YouTube says, Bella, bring your cat. I do. So I think I might have a cat allergy. That's something else that came out at the weekend. We went and visited some of our good friends, had an amazing time. They have a cat. My throat has been ever so scratchy since this weekend. Which, having a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, it's like living with Petri dishes. It's entirely possible they just gave me something.
Daddy owes you.
You are overusing the Daddy
owes
you
it's
clip.
So good.
You're just leaning into it?
It is so good.
How many times a day do you play it on the morning show, Kale and Company?
Nick just has all of his ones.
Yeah, Nick. I think Nick loves that one.
Mustard.
If memories, he loves the mustard.
No,
too.
his favorite one is
mustard.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, see, I feel bad for Ron DeSantis. We can revisit that maybe later in the program.
No, Bella's not bringing her cat. Let's just think. No cats are coming to the studio.
I'm worried I'm allergic to the cat.
No cats are coming to the studio.
And my comfort as the host still has to be paramount. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's something to look forward to. You know, we've had all kinds of interesting people on this show, but I think the most anticipated guest of all time might be Bella.
We'll see.
Yeah. No pressure, Bella.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. 855-839-1210 is the number. Again, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. And in just a moment, I will be live here in the studio with tonight's guest. He is with me here on the banks of the gorgeous Schuylkill River, Steve Dinistrian, LD11 GOP nominee for state Senate, maybe the guy, if he's victorious, and a lot of people think his campaign's heading in the right direction, he could flip the New Jersey State Senate and provide Republicans with an actual check on Phil Murphy. What a thing that would be. We'll be back in just a moment to have that discussion with Steve. Again, youtube.com/@1210WPHT.
Friday night means high school football around the Delaware Valley, and every week WPHT breaks it all down. It's the Friday Night High School Football Scoreboard Show. Join Jeff Nolan, Daryl Dobus, and James Bailey Friday nights 10 till midnight for a rundown of all the big high school games in the region and expert analysis. The Scoreboard Show, Friday night at 10, only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the Odyssey app.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hear that? That's the sound of the 2023 Chevy Silverado and its Turbo Max engine, delivering impressive power with no compromised durability. Whether you're helping friends move or just moving some friends, this is the sound of a family with plenty of rear seat room to enjoy the ride. And this is the sound of you heading to your local Chevy dealer today. Find your Silverado and find new roads. Chevrolet. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Back on the Matt Rooney Show. 855-839-1210 is the number. youtube.com/@1210WPHT. And go ahead and give us a like. I think if we get to 25, we get a free toaster from Greg Stocker or something like that. I forget what the current incentive program structure is, Dan, but
Get an extra hour on air.
we get an extra hour on air?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can manage that. Sunday nights, we're lucky we get 3. How long have we been 3 hours now? Has it been about a year?
Yeah, about a year.
About a year?
Yeah.
We're celebrating our 1-year anniversary
last
being
year. Or not last year, last week.
8 to 10.
6 to 10 last week.
You guys went 6 to 10 last week?
Yeah.
So you had an extra hour when I wasn't here? How does that work?
So apparently it was your show was still 7 to 10, but Gary Arnell took the 6 to 7 slot.
Okay.
When in reality it just was weird to me, but that's what it was.
4 hours is no joke.
No, 4 hours is not.
I've done it more than once, filling in for Rich Zioli. I've been on the morning show, and yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
it's brutal first time doing it.
It is.
Yeah.
No, totally. So, all right. Well, glad I missed that. But we've got plenty of fun here that we pack into 3 hours every Sunday night. And tonight, our guest is one of the more interesting figures of New Jersey's election 2023. Again, by way of background here, since many of our listeners are over in Eastern PA or well beyond, thanks to the miracle that is the interwebs, New Jersey is a quirky state for more than one reason. One of those reasons is that we have odd year legislative elections. So the entire New Jersey Assembly and State Senate is on the ballot in 2023. And you may have heard our governor, as Rich Zioli, our friend, calls him, King Philip the Unaccountable, has a little bit of a God complex. And we're going to get into this a little bit later on the program as well.
Remember, we are New Jersey.
Yeah, Phil, I'm talking, Phil. With all of the talk in the news ether at the moment about new waves of COVID and we need a new vaccine and this, that, and the other, there is a real risk that they're going to try to lock us down again in the not-too-distant future. Prepare yourself for that. It's coming. I don't know what form it's going to take, but it's clearly what they want to do. So having a check on Phil Murphy, not just because of what he's doing to our oceans, which we're going to talk to our guest about, not just because of what he's doing to our schools, which we're going to talk to our guest about, but also protecting against future deprivations of liberty, which are right around the corner if we're not on our guard, right? All of this is playing a central role in these upcoming New Jersey legislative elections. And Republicans have a chance to win in a number of districts in South Jersey and over at the Jersey Shore. Our guest tonight is running in one such district. His name is Steve Dinistrian. He is a first-time candidate for public office, which means he's a little bit crazy, but in all the right ways because he's agreed to do this. He's a family man. He's got 3 children, right? So God knows he's got something else he could be doing on a Sunday night other than advocating for his principles and fighting to unseat Democrat incumbent Vin Gopal. He's got a long, storied career in the private sector. He's a businessman, very successful. Again, doesn't need this noise, right? But he has decided to run to represent New Jersey's 11th legislative district and to fight for the people of the Jersey Shore and beyond, all across the great Garden State. And he made the effort to come in here tonight to our studio, and we greatly appreciate him coming in to chat with us. So without further ado, Steve Dinistrian, welcome to the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT.
Thanks, Matt. Good to be with you tonight. Really good to be with you to talk about the issues and to say hello to everybody.
First time we've met in person, which is maybe perhaps a little bit surprising. I don't get around as much as I used to because of the whole young kids thing, which I know you know.
Oh, yeah.
How that goes. But almost everyone that I talk to in New Jersey politics about election 2023, they say, "Oh, have you met Steve? He's one to watch. Hey, have you met Steve running out in LD11? I know that race. They weren't sure it was going to be competitive, but I think that's one to watch on election night because it's going to surprise a lot of people." You're making waves and you're making an impression. Let's back up a little bit though. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get involved in legislative politics right now and to seek not just the Republican nomination, which you've secured, but also the opportunity to unseat Vin Gopal?
Yeah, so I am one of many neighbors and friends like across Monmouth County that I know who are frankly, Matt, just sick and tired and disgusted of the policies that have been coming out of Trenton over the last several years. So, you really have two choices in that scenario, and one is to sit by the sidelines and continue to complain and hope that change will come, or you can step forward and jump in the game and try to be that change, right? Try to be the embodiment of that change. As you mentioned just before, first time ever running for public office. So it is quite different from what I know in the business world. I am the son of immigrants. My father came to the country from Ukraine on the heels of another war back a couple of generations ago. And my mother came from Ireland, and they were just seeking a better life. They met in New York City, became citizens, and achieved the American dream. And so we're grateful for that. And we grew up, Matt, like, many good people in the Philadelphia area, many people in the Jersey area, poor, not having much at all. But at the same time, we had everything we needed. We had good parents. They had determination and grit to work and want to create a better life. They weren't looking for handouts from anybody. They wanted to worship freely in their church, and they raised three sons. And here we are today. I went off to college and achieved things I never thought imaginable. So part of this is about really just giving back, as old and antiquated as and old-fashioned as that might sound. But, unless we do, especially people who have no political experience, who's going to do it? How can we turn it around? This is the first step in a direction to try to drive some reason and some common sense into what's going on in so many of these policies. And God, we're in short supply of that coming out of Trenton for sure.
Well, your profile, though, is what the founders envisioned, right? They didn't intend to have men and women that were career politicians who just spent, 20, 30, in the case of Joe Biden, 50 years seeking public office. They wanted people that had actually accomplished something and decided to eventually go ahead and give back, not because they needed the job or the pension, but because they had the opportunity and the experience to share with their fellow citizens. Now, that's quite a contrast to Vin Gopal, who is a young guy. I think he's around my age, which not that young people can't contribute something to politics, but this is what Vin has done. Vin is a politician, and he's behaved like one in Trenton. And we talk a lot, Steve, about politicians flip-flopping, saying one thing and then changing their mind and espousing another position. That happens in politics. Vin takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's next level, as the Gen Zers, like producer Dan would say. I think one of the clearest examples presents itself with this ongoing parental rights debate.
Yeah.
Vin was a leading proponent
Yes.
of Phil Murphy's efforts to sexualize New Jersey's school curricula.
Yeah.
Not just for, high schoolers and junior high kids, but very young children.
Yeah.
Then I guess they started to see the same polls that you and I have seen, that New Jerseyans are overwhelmingly opposed to this agenda. The most recent poll I saw said that 70% of New Jerseyans, and keep in mind, this is a state that voted for Joe Biden by double digits, 70% of New Jerseyans oppose these efforts by the Murphy administration to take that radical agenda and push it on very young children. So Vin has now decided, I guess, that oops, maybe that's not something I want to be affiliated with, and he's talking out of the other side of his mouth. Are people falling for it?
Yeah, no, they're really not. What I hear at the doors is people are onto it. They really are. Let me just, if I could, just take a step back again from a political rookie here, and view this kind of situation we find ourselves in through the lens of a business person, right?
Right.
Business people are hired to be leaders and to lean into very significant problems facing their organizations, their companies, or whatnot, whatever they're working for, right? New Jersey is number one in a couple of really awful categories, right? Number one, highest property taxes. Number one, worst business environment in the country compared to all other states. Number one, most bonded debt versus any other states. So when you look at the one-party rule right now with the governor and with Vin Gopal, which one of those issues have they leaned into during their time in leadership positions to try to drive some or any systemic change? None. Absolutely none. So,
And Vin's been there since 2018.
Yeah. Listen, and he's been there with a bunch of other people who've been there just who are not leaders, but they're politicians, right? And politicians placate. Politicians are not there to serve the public; they're there to serve themselves. And you can just go through his voting record for demonstrations of that. So, they have failed the leadership test, Matt, as we would say, whether that, I was with Johnson & Johnson or a big company in New York called Omnicom Group in the marketing communications field. When you find failing business units, you find failures of leadership. And so they've had their time. You've failed the leadership test. It's time to go, right? Now, back to the parents' rights issue. Why are we even talking about this as a political or as a campaign issue? I mean, it is really a sign of the times when you think about it that we have to talk about parents' rights as something that we need to stand up and fight for. When did that come off the rails? And this is, I got to tell you, this has been the biggest kind of learning experience for me, this particular issue, right? Because when you get into it, I was listening to friends of mine who are really, solid Republicans who were telling me all about this. And I had a hard time believing some of this stuff was true, but it is all unfortunately true.
And I think that's part of the problem with
Yeah.
this issue in terms of Republicans' ability to talk about it. You say to people, well, Phil Murphy doesn't want you to be able to be notified if your 6-year-old boy wants to use the girls' room. Phil Murphy wants to teach your 7-year-old daughter about her anatomy and the sexual aspects of her anatomy. They say, oh, you must be making stuff up. This is just politics as usual. That can't be a real thing, but it is.
It is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. I've been to Board of Education meetings where towns are school boards are debating revising policies to allow parents to be notified. And, I was asked first, I forget what reporter, I might have been up on News 12 up in New Jersey when I was asked, where do you stand on parental rights? I'm like,
Alex Sedan. That was a good interview, yeah.
I am 110% parents' rights, and I'll never change that position. It's black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Well, parents need to be involved with everything regarding their children, right? Every single thing. And when the state decided it needed to be in between parents and children, that was a bad day for the state of New Jersey. So that needs to change. And other things you can't believe, right? The governor and the attorney general suing 3 different school districts in Monmouth County to prevent parental notification. Another thing hard to believe. After the judge allowed an injunction in that case, as it's just gotten started, to stay in place, preventing parental notification for Marlborough, Middletown, and Manalapan, the Attorney General describes the judge's decision as a quote-unquote major victory for civil rights. Against parents?
Right. And during the oral argument in this case, for anybody that hasn't seen the coverage of it, a shameless plug over to SaveJersey.com.
Yeah.
One of the deputy attorney generals that was arguing was asked by the judge, okay, well, can't we all agree that in the case of a 5-year-old,
right,
not 15,
right,
not 12, 5-year-old, parents should be involved in these sorts of decisions and know what their child's getting up to at school. And the Deputy Attorney General answered, I think honestly, even though it's horrifying, no, under Phil Murphy's policy, parents do not have the right to be informed if a 5-year-old is having a gender identity crisis.
These are the things I can't believe are actually being stated. Then you have the State Board of Education voting to advance policies on gender-neutral things and taking pronouns out and allowing young girls or young boys to sit in sex ed classes with the opposite sex. And it's let's juxtapose this now against the Monmouth University poll that came out, which you were just reciting a couple minutes ago, that shows unequivocal support among parents for parental rights, for parental notification across all three parties, which, as a market research guy and somebody out of the marketing communications industry, just demonstrates how badly Phil Murphy and Vin Gopal and the rest of them are out of touch with the will of the people. I mean, they're just plainly out of touch.
And to your point, it's not even close. And one of the things I thought was interesting about this Monmouth poll and its discussion of parental rights and sexualized curriculum, there was not much of a difference between parents and non-parents.
Right.
I candidly expected, and producer Dan and I talk about this all the time, I think sometimes this is an issue which hits closer to home when you have kids in the school system. Nope, wasn't much of a difference. And while a majority, this is from the poll, 60% approve of teaching students in grades 9 through 12 about the range of ways people express their gender. Support dips below a majority for doing this in grades 6 to 8, only 42%, and drops to less than one quarter for grades 1 through 5. Only 22% of New Jerseyans thought that was appropriate. And this is allegedly a blue state.
Yeah. And you go back further, as I've learned kind of how the stage got set for things like this too. Bingo Pal was a co-sponsor of a bill that directed the Department of Education to advance sex ed curriculum for K through 2 children. I mean, that just set the stage, and he's chairman of the Senate Committee on Education, which has broad discretion over the Department of Education. I mean, it all starts there, and then kind of just unfortunately blossoms because there's the what that we're talking about these policies, Matt, and then more interestingly for me is the who. So who in the bureaucracy over there is pushing this forward? Who are those people? And that's what we really have to find out because, again, out of touch with parents of all stripes, right, of all kids. And listen, my wife, Cindy, has a master's degree in special education. If kids bring up serious issues like this in a school setting, they need to be surrounded by love and the best resources and the best therapists and their parents and their teachers to work through these things, right? So we come from a place of compassion for children on these things. And I got to tell you, there was a really interesting comment as you knock doors around the district. You just get these incredible insights. One woman who is a mom and very involved in her school board in Ocean Township said to me, you know what? We wouldn't need all these mental health services for kids if we weren't driving them crazy at early ages. And I just stopped and looked at her.
Well put.
And I'm like, that is so well said. Let kids be kids. Focus, especially with the little ones. Remember when kids went to school to focus on math and reading and writing and science. And the only thing that they were worried about, Matt, relative to the other sex was catching cooties or something like that.
Right.
Remember cooties?
I do remember cooties. Yes, it was one of the primary threats as a young male that you're worried about when you're like, 10 years old.
Yeah.
Cooties was a thing in my elementary school and middle school. Yeah, so I had that growing up.
Well, Dan caught it, never recovered.
That's true. Yeah, I still have it. So
He still has it. It's a chronic condition. Science will get there eventually.
Yeah. You remember just how innocent that was with kids, and now look at what's being subjected on them, right? And why? So I think I know based on what I'm hearing at the doors and the constituent conversations, the left has swung way too far left for everyone. You've messed with our kids, And there is going to be pushback at the polls big time on this in November. Absolutely no doubt.
I don't think you're wrong. And another issue, which is perhaps an example of the Murphy administration and the hardcore left taking advantage of and exploiting vulnerable populations, the ongoing death of whales and dolphins at the Jersey Shore. You represent a district in Monmouth County, and we just had another whale wash up, a humpback, up in New York. I guess it was maybe 2 weeks ago we had one wash up in your district.
Yeah, we had one wash up on the beach in Long Branch.
Long
where
Branch.
Vin Gopal lives.
Yes, so literally on Vin Gopal's front door, his front stoop. We've had dolphins wash up in Middletown, about a mile from Phil Murphy's luxurious mansion. So they can't run from this problem anymore. They continue to gaslight and say, what are you possibly talking about? You're crazy. This obviously has nothing to do with exploring for offshore wind development, when the government's own documents, their own studies, acknowledge not just the possibility, but the probability that sonar is going to kill whales and dolphins. This is something else I know. I mean, you live at the Jersey Shore. I spent a lot of time down there. It like parental rights, it cuts across the ideological spectrum.
Yeah, people are heartbroken about this. They really are heartbroken to see these mammals washing up in unprecedented numbers along the Jersey Shore and along Long Island. And there's two key components to this, Matt. One is what's going on with our oceans, and then the other is cost about offshore wind. So let's tackle one first, right? Let's talk about what we know. Right, we have 26 dead whales having washed up on the shores between New York and New Jersey since December of 2022. I've lost the count on dolphins. I believe it's 40 plus since January of this year.
Sounds right.
Right?
We lost an entire pod in Sea Isle City a couple months ago.
Right. Now, and the other thing we know is that there has been active surveying of the continental shelf in preparation for drilling monopoles into them, right? And I've just been in touch with some really incredible people in the Middletown area and throughout the district who have been tracking hard numbers of survey ships going out, blasting sonar waves into the ocean, which has the potential to deafen whales and dolphins and really damage their ability to navigate, right? So the other side is very quick to say boat strikes, boat strikes, boat strikes. Well, if a dolphin or whale can't hear or detect these big boats coming, well, of course there's going to be more boat strikes, right?
Absolutely.
Look, I don't know what has caused this. I do know that we have two sets of data. A, the increasing dead mammals, and B, the increasing survey ships doing this. We call that correlative data, right? Which would give anybody who's got common sense reason enough to say, maybe we should pause and do some independent research. Maybe we should try to find out before we go further and drill potentially more damage that way, right? So that's a big component right there that Gopal and Murphy have categorically dismissed and say that there's absolutely no cause and effect. I'm saying I can't prove cause and effect. I'm standing for a moratorium and independent research. I'm not saying I'm against offshore wind or other forms of green energy. I'm saying we need to be open-minded about this. You know, I'm a little bit more than the average bear when it comes to being briefed on this issue, Matt, because I've done consulting work in the energy sector. And so I am steeped in facts and figures about what's involved here. Two, I have a position that we should explore all forms of energy in terms of finding what fits best for going forward in the future. But the state here and Murphy and Gopal have done a real disservice to the people by dismissing any possible correlation here with the deaths of the mammal and not being truthful about what the cost is going to be for all of this for all New Jerseyans.
And this is another contrast between you and your opponent, Vin Gopal, because on the one hand, Vin voted against the recent bailout for Ørsted, one of the major foreign developers that wants to erect these giant pinwheels off of the coast of the state of New Jersey. But then at the same time, he gave a recent interview, and maybe we'll play the audio in the third hour tonight. He proceeded to call anyone that's suggesting, not even concluding, but suggesting that windmills might play a role in whale and dolphin deaths, conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
So he called the majority of his constituents tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theories.
There's organized coalitions of mayors and elected officials, Democrats, independents, and Republicans who live up and down the coast. So he's called all of them conspiracy theorists. He's called all reasonable people like me and others conspiracy theorists. And from this self-righteous, non-expert position that he happens to hold on this, which is just, again, this is another bizarre thing. Here we have Republicans and independents, crying out to defend the animals, the manimals. Where's Greenpeace? Where's PETA? Where are the environmentalist groups? They've all gone silent on these things. And it's a real crime. It's a real crime.
Or they've spoken out in favor of the windmills, making these tortured arguments why we need to proceed without getting any additional information.
Yes, and just to give our listeners here tonight just a little dimension on the reference to the bailout, the state was due over $1 billion in tax credits for this offshore wind initiative that would have been passed on to the ratepayers, meaning everybody that pays an electric bill in the state of New Jersey, because that's who's going to be paying for all of this, Matt, when we come around to that. But instead, when Ørsted balked and said to Murphy, we may need to pull out unless we get these tax credits, rushed a piece of legislation through without any opportunity for public comment, $1 billion tax credit. Now, what does that tell you too? Right? They don't want to talk about cost. And the other dimension of this that has not been covered, and trust me, Matt, over the next couple of weeks, this issue is going to explode. The simple question is, who's paying for this? The answer is everybody that has an electric bill coming to their home in the state of New Jersey. Someday, should those windmills start spinning out there will be a new surcharge added to everybody's electric bill. Now, we don't know exactly what's going to be added because either they know and don't want to tell us, or they don't know. Either case is not good. But all that infrastructure will be paid on everybody's electric bill, which I've heard estimates of $1,000 more per year per electric bill for the next 40 years.
Our friend Dr. Jonathan Lesser of the Manhattan Institute, we've had him on before, and it's thousands of dollars for your average ratepayer. And that's only one portion of the governor's green energy master plan, which, we were talking about this online, how they want to take away our gas stoves, implement all these very radical agenda items, which are going to, in the long run, probably do nothing to actually prolong the life of the earth.
Yeah.
But it's going to make New Jersey even more expensive.
Oh, no doubt about
than
it.
it already is.
No doubt about it. But as Gopal talks, I voted against the $1 billion bailout. Well, your party passed it. Bottom line right there, right? And,
Steve, I'm going to stop you right there for a second. We're coming up on the end of the hour. Can I hold you over?
Sure.
To the next segment?
Absolutely.
Producer Dan, we're going to hold Steve over to the next segment, assuming that's okay with you. Dan's a real boss.
Dan, is it okay?
Yeah. I don't know how I let that happen, but that's how some marriages are, right? So we're talking to Steve Dinistrian, the Senate candidate in New Jersey's 11th legislative district. I am Matt Rooney. This is the Matt Rooney Show. Let's play some ads to make some money, but we'll be back with more in just a second.
Jack Smith going to Subway today is a message to Donald Trump. Donald Trump tries to intimidate people. That was Jack Smith with no words and a simple $5 sub in his hand saying, I'm here, I'm not going in.
So brave, he went to Subway, where all those MAGA people usually hang out to beat the crap out of people. Like Jack Smith is showing he's strong by going to lunch. And to double down, he went to dinner.
Rich Zioli, weekday afternoons 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Children who grow up in poverty are part of a destructive cycle. Childhood poverty creates adult poverty, creates childhood poverty, and on and on. At Child Fund International, we find this unacceptable. So we do all we can. In 25 countries, we are vigorously fighting poverty and improving the lives of over 11 million children and their families. Today's childhood poverty must not become tomorrow's. Learn more at childfund.org.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
On top of first-class care, you will never receive a bill. The only thing we had to worry about was just keeping Azalea comfortable. St. Jude saved her life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Don't let woke win. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Matt Rooney back for our numero trace. Time flies when you're having fun, but we made it through 2 hours here on the Matt Rooney Show. Only 1 hour left to go. YouTube.com/@1210 WPHT, where I am speaking to Steve Dinistrian. He is the candidate for the Republicans in New Jersey's 11th legislative district. For those of you that are not up on your New Jersey geography, Monmouth County, towards the beach, Asbury Park, some of the iconic New Jersey beach resorts that we all know and love here in the greater Delaware Valley region and beyond, but where Phil Murphy is not only and his allies like Vin Gopal, who Steve's running against, they not only continue to make things more expensive, but now they've got these whales and dolphins washing up wholesale almost on a weekly basis. I know that's not why tourists are coming to New Jersey to see dead whales and dolphins. I think we can do better. And Steve's here tonight talking about how he wants to do better when he makes it to Trenton. And I think, it's not just something I'm saying because I'm one of those guys, if I don't have something nice to say, I'm not going to say it at all. I'm just going to be quiet and polite about it. Dan, he's kind of rude. He doesn't have a filter.
Nope.
Yeah, so he would say afterwards, why did we have this guy on? It's clear you know your stuff. You're on top of it. You're great at explaining the issues that you're discussing, which I think Republicans often do very poorly. Mm-hmm. And so I get why a lot of folks think that, you could be on the verge of upsetting Vin Gopal, who it's my understanding from talking to people out there in LD11 that Vin is not only flip-flopping on offshore windmills, he's flip-flopping on parental rights. He's also claiming that he's cutting property taxes.
Yeah.
I must have missed the property tax cut as a New Jersey taxpayer.
Yeah,
I didn't get my money.
I've missed it too. It's one of the hardest things I have getting my head around is just how normalized lying is in politics, and lying is coming from his camp in particular.
Well, you come from a world where you have to report to shareholders.
Yeah.
And other stakeholders in your company. There's actually criminal consequences for lying.
Well, you just don't. You find a way to tell the truth because in the business world, when you're in service to other people, when you're in leadership positions, if you are leading properly and taking care of those who work for you, you're taking care of your customers, you're taking care of the communities in which you operate your businesses, profits flow, right? So truth is a pretty powerful element of that at all times. But there's something just popped up in the district. We had a couple people reach out and send screenshots to us of a mailer that they received that said, Senator Vin Gopal has cut property taxes for senior citizens in half, which is just lying to senior citizens. First of all, it should be it's just worse than any other form of lying. And the assumption that senior citizens are dumb enough to believe that it will backfire on him, as all these types of things do. It's just so egregious, right? To do that to, people who are elderly, people who are looking for help financially, and you roll out these lies and you pin it to a program that might start in 2 or 3 years or whatever cockamamie excuse you have. And then another thing he's doing, Matt, too, is he rolls out these community newspapers, these small little tabloid things, which are just chock full of spin, go pal headlines, as we call them. And the last issue that came out claimed all sorts of restoration of funds that he pushed for school aid. And that's just not true, right? The numbers don't lie even when the politicians do. And so we know that in some of the largest school districts in LD11, including Asbury Park, Freehold Regional, Neptune Township, Ocean Township, and Eatontown, among others, $70+ million has been cut out of our district because of Phil Murphy's school funding formula, which inexplicably the incumbent senator voted in favor of. So he voted in favor of legislation that has cut funding $70+ million out of our district and sent it to other parts of the state.
Which is one of the reasons traditionally why New Jersey property taxes are the worst in the nation,
Yes.
because there's no accountability.
Yeah.
Because you're voting over here in your district, Trenton's taking your money, sending it somewhere else, where that money's going, I don't have a vote over there as to how that's being spent, whether it's being spent well, whether the kids are actually getting an education.
Yeah. So let me connect that dot. So when you take that much money out of the school districts and our school districts have had to do this. They've had to cut teachers, cut resources, expand classroom sizes. And then when they can't cut any more, Matt, they have to raise the school budget, which of course raises your property taxes. So there's the connection right there, right? And it all ties back to just this other thing, and again, from somebody coming from the outside, when you look at the numbers, just the spending going on out of Trenton over the last several years, the state budget from 2018 has gone from $34 billion to the 2024 $54 billion in 7 or 8 years' time. And before this budget was finalized, the Democrats shamelessly went behind closed doors, padded in $1.27 billion. That's $1.270 billion in legislative grants that they could hand out to, by way of their legislators to help them get reelected. It's just shameless. And
we're paying for a French art museum in Jersey City.
Yeah, it goes on and
very
on.
important at a time when children have learning loss from COVID.
Yes, and Vin shamelessly will seek out publicity and send out mailers saying, "Oh, I've gotten money restored to the school system," when I, in fact, voted to take all this money out of the school system.
Right.
Now, I will say, as a working dad and commuting back and forth to New York City or New Brunswick, I wasn't paying any attention to this because I was too busy trying to take care of my family and pay my property taxes. Now, within just a couple of months of being able to focus on it, it is as bad as people think, right? It is as ugly.
It's worse.
It's horrendous. And but I do believe that we can change it. We can turn that around. And that has to begin with a change in mindset, which is a change in leadership, right?
So how do we do that? I want to drill down on that as we come down the home stretch here, because you know as well as I do, because we both follow politics. You're a new candidate this year, but you've been watching for a while. I think this is one of the reasons Republicans lose in New Jersey, because people have lost faith that New Jersey can be affordable.
Yeah.
Time in, time out, politicians come around and say, we're going to cut your taxes. We're going to make your life more affordable. We're going to improve the cost of living in the Garden State. Politicians like Vin Gopal shamelessly lie to them, and folks eventually get the joke. But instead of penalizing a candidate like Vin Gopal by voting him out of office, people have to do what's best for them, their families, or the businesses, and oftentimes they vote with their feet, right? And they get out of Dodge. So, you are someone, I said it a moment ago, who has the ability to explain this stuff. What can your party do in 2024, January 2024, if you're elected, to actually begin moving things back in the right direction?
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to take the majority, right, to be able to move the ball down the field, right?
Yep.
Minimally in the Senate, maybe, who knows, in both houses, right? In both chambers. And then you start to agree on an agenda that is outcomes focused, right? What are we here to do long term to drive systemic change toward our most intractable problems, right? So we've got the issue of property taxes. Let's lean into it and start to talk about and involve the people of the state in tough choices that need to be made, which of course means less government, right? You've got to be able to cut expenses to be able to drive down the tax levy and do that step by step. But it begins with inviting people into that discussion, boiling it down to basic terms, Matt, and then moving that forward. We can fix the crime problem that's been touching every corner of Monmouth County. You can't let nonviolent repeat offenders out faster than before the police report is finished, so they can steal more cars and break into more homes.
There was an attempted auto theft on Phil Murphy's own block about a year ago.
Oh yeah, well there was a car that got stolen last night in Rumson, not too far where he is from. And kid, listen, I grew up in a very tough neighborhood up in Jersey City. I get it, what these kids need to do, right? They're incentivized to put money in their pocket, and if that means breaking the law, they do, especially if they know they're going to be out in 24 hours.
Yes.
Right? So shame on the fools that think that down in Trenton that think the road to redemption sometimes has to include punishment. It really does. And I say that again from a point of compassion. I worked in the field of drug treatment early in my career, and I understand what it takes for people to get back. So we can fix the crime problem by being supportive of our law enforcement officers. I mean, for God's sakes, we can't find enough cops. We can't find enough state troopers. Why? Because our elected officials have turned their backs on them, right? It's perfectly understandable, and it's shameful what's happening here. And then on parents' rights, no brainer. Just press reset, drive some common sense in there, bring parents into the conversation. You saw the poll numbers from Monmouth University. I saw them. If your listeners didn't see it, look it up. It's a resounding
I'll retweet it at
support.
the end of the show.
Yeah, please. And
I was surprised. I'll be honest with you. I knew that a majority of our fellow New Jerseyans thought this stuff was nuts because, like you, I live in the real world. I'm having barbecues. I'm not hanging out with Trenton people. I'm hearing people say, "Oh my God, can you believe what I just read?" But 77%. It's
no. Listen, my dad was in the labor union. My mom was a waitress for 41 years, Matt. I can walk into Asbury Park or Neptune Township or Coltec and have conversations with people across the spectrum. Everybody. And, there's a data point, too, in the poll about people of color in full support for school mandates as well. Of course they are. Don't mess with my kids. And we're going to see this theme. And I felt it at the doors, Matt, before the poll came up. And you're at that door and you just listen to people where they're coming. You listen to what they say. And you listen to what they mean in between the lines. And I kept coming back to our team to say, guys, this is with us, and we're going to push hard for it and fight for parents because nobody else is. I mean, if we lose that, we're going to lose so much, and we're not going to allow that to happen. We just won't.
Well, I think you know now, if you didn't know before, why Vin Gopal feels the need to lie and lie with a lot of volume before Labor Day.
Yeah.
He's scared, and he's scared of this man and not only his ability to articulate the conservative common sense positions on these issues, but also what he represents, which is a lot of ticked off normal people that are tired of the status quo. We want to be in charge of our money. We want to be in charge of our kids. We do not want the Jersey Shore befouled by foreign corporations that aren't accountable to you and I. I guess Phil Murphy's buddies with these people, but we don't get anything out of it. It's time for a change, and here's hoping that, Steve, you can lead that charge.
Well, listen, I'll just say loud and clear right to Vin and his team, I welcome the opportunity to debate with you publicly. I do genuinely come from a place of curiosity, wanting to understand why you would vote for a piece of legislation that has cut so much money out of our schools, why you continue to stick in the position of not backing law enforcement in this soft on crime stuff, and just refusing to even open up your mind for consideration on reasonable measures like a moratorium on offshore wind and answering the question about how much this is going to cost us, because that is the question. I can't believe we're this far along with this offshore wind initiative. that we haven't gotten an answer, an honest answer from the state about who's paying for this and how much. So let's debate. They can see you. They can see me. They can get to understand who we are as people, our backgrounds. It's in service to the voters, in full transparency. I've lived a pretty good, basic, boring life. I've got nothing at all to hide, even though you're about to paint me as I get the sense with these horrendous strokes of lies. But I've been warned about that. I came from a tough neighborhood, and so bring it. Bring it. But let's be face-to-face and do it in service to voters.
We'd offer to do the debate, but Dan and I have like a 50% track record with that, right, Dan? And not everyone wants to come in here and answer my questions.
Right.
I don't know. I think I'm friendly enough.
Yeah.
But, we would do that. Vin would probably be crazy to come in here, but if he wanted to have the debate here on 1210, we could even bring in a liberal.
Yeah.
I have plenty of liberal friends. They don't admit to it, but I do.
Same here.
They can come in and they can pitch him a couple softballs. He still might have trouble with them. We've been talking to Steve Dinistrian tonight, the LD11 state Senate candidate. Steve, where can folks find you online if they've been inspired by what you've had to say?
Well, I appreciate the time, and everybody at home, I appreciate you listening. It's been a journey. I'm on the web at www.steve4nj.com. Real simple. I didn't attempt to put Dinistrian in there because that would throw everybody off, but Steve4nj.com.
And it's S. Dinistrian is your, I keep saying Twitter,
yes.
your X handle.
Yes. SDNISTRIAN. And then you'll find, on the website, you'll find all the social handles as well.
And you're running with Marilyn Paperno and Kim Ulner.
Kim Ulner, who are great, who are just great. Working moms, they unseated 2 Democrats last time out after being outspent 4 or 5 to 1. And they just worked hard like we're working hard right now.
Yeah, and I think good things are going to come from it. Steve, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming into the studio. And definitely check in with us again as we get a little closer to Election Day, because I think that you're going to have a wind at your back now. Not from the turbines, but from all those angry parents and taxpayers out there. And we want to be there for it.
Yeah, appreciate that, Matt, very much. Thanks.
You've been listening to The Matt Rooney Show. Let's take a quick break, but we still have plenty of program, including Twit Talk and Dan's Fact of the Week still to come. Lucky you guys, huh? Back in a second.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000.
If not me, then who? This ethos is driving the Travis Manion Foundation to empower veterans and families of fallen heroes to develop character in future generations. In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manion was killed in Iraq while saving his wounded teammates. Travis's legacy lives on in the 5 words he spoke before leaving for his final deployment. If not me, then who? Guided by this mantra, veterans are continuing their service, developing strong relationships within their own community, and thriving in their post-military lives. Visit travismanion.org.
What if being in recovery from a mental or substance use disorder was something we proudly showed the world? Millions of people are in recovery, sharing hope and support with family, friends, and community. Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Philabundance is the region's largest hunger relief organization, serving more than 90,000 people each week. Almost a third are children. Help feed those in need at philabundance.org. Giving blood is easy. It only takes about an hour, and a single donation can help save up to 3 lives. Donate now. Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or redcrossblood.org.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Well, I got to say this, Daniel. We've had, I don't know, at this point, probably 100 guests on this show. since we started back in July 2021. That has to be one of the more polished interviewees
Probably, yeah.
that have ever visited. Yeah. That guy's going places. I have a feeling.
He should run for an office.
He should consider running for something.
I mean, it's crazy because as soon as his segment started, our watchers shot up. So.
Yeah, and sometimes you're talking to someone, and despite my efforts and your efforts to make things interesting, sometimes you'll see a little drop-off if the person we're talking to is not that interesting or engaging. And, it was actually picking up as he spoke, which means that other people are sending a link to other people saying, hey, you really should hear what this guy has to say. So definitely go check out Steve Dinistrian online if you haven't already. It's a central battleground, not just for New Jersey, my home state, and where many of our listeners live, but in the entire country. Imagine what kind of momentum Republicans are going to have going into 2024 in taking on Joe Biden and his corrupt Department of Justice and all of his Democrat lackeys down ballot, right? If we have in New Jersey a major Republican victory in 2023. And Republican victories in New Jersey have often preceded national victories for the Republican Party. 1993, 2009, usually starts in the Garden State. It's a bellwether. Maybe not always in presidential elections, but when it comes to grassroots level pushback against Democrat excess. So I remain eternally optimistic. That's just the kind of guy that I am. We were talking about whales and offshore turbines and all this green energy nonsense with Steve. Here's a fun article for all you out there, especially my fellow parents of young children that are always having juice boxes, and when you go to a restaurant, they want a straw to drink out of their cup of water. You know, as well as I do, much to my chagrin, paper straws increasingly replacing plastic almost everywhere you go. Yeah, they feel weird in your mouth. They get mushy. They're the worst. Apparently, they're also dangerous. Another example of unintended consequences coming back and biting us in the rear. This story is from NBC News. Paper and bamboo straws contain PFAS chemicals. Study finds. This is from Aria Bendix. Some paper and bamboo straws contain so-called forever chemicals that could make them a less than ideal alternative to plastic, researchers have found.
So they're telling us, let me get this straight. They're telling us that the plastic straws were bad. So then they're like, hey, now we got to go to paper straws.
Because the plastic straws were dangerous for the dolphins. They're killing anyway with their wind turbines.
Yeah,
Just wanted to put that all out there.
So they were dangerous because they were plastic straws. They're like, now we got to go to paper. And now paper straws are dangerous. So what's next? We all going to metal?
I think we're all just going to cup our hands and pour it into each other's mouth.
Actually, I lied. I am a big fan of the the nipple lid. You know what I mean?
You mean like a baby bottle?
No, it's like the lid.
When I bring in your pumpkin spice latte in 2 weeks when Bella's here,
I want it in a nipple lid.
It will be, I still have a bunch of them kicking around the house.
No, what it is, it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like there's a little opening on it. You know, like a coffee lid, you know?
Yeah, okay. I know what you're
One of those, yeah, they have those for ice drinks now. I'm a big fan of those.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, I just call them the nipple lid, but like, I'm a big fan of those.
Well, it's probably where we're going to have to go. I mean, I don't know what else you do. Next thing you know, they're going to make them copper, and we're all going to go crazy.
Well, Wawa also asks you if you want a straw or not.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I always say no because I don't really need it, but
I want my straw. I'm paying for it.
It depends. There's certain drinks where you need. There's certain drinks where like you need a straw. Like a milkshake.
Well,
you need a straw.
Well, don't get a paper one. I mean, again,
No,
listen to
don't get a
this.
paper one.
Scientists in Belgium, they tested dozens of these things, Dan, at supermarkets, retail stores, fast food restaurants, found the majority contained these PFAS, which I had to look up what PFAS is. It's a family of synthetic chemicals used in the manufacture of consumer products because they can resist stains, grease, and water. Okay? Researchers sampled 39 brands of straws. Of these 39 brands, 27 contained these PFAS. So, You're poisoning the people whom you're allegedly trying to save the environment for. You can't make this stuff up if you tried. At what point are people going to recognize, and maybe New Jersey and some of these legislative races this year are going to see the beginning of it. Maybe this is the point where people are going to realize that we've all been hoaxed. Whether or not climate change was a hoax came up during the Republican debate last week out in Milwaukee. And, I thought, Vivek Ramaswamy, I thought that he was on point when he talked about this, that, it is very much a hoax, and in more ways than one. Not only because the evidence itself is increasingly and repeatedly misrepresented. For example, when we only have temperature data going back to the late 19th century that's reliable and consistent across the globe, how can you make these sweeping conclusions about whether or not temperatures are warming? It's hard to. And then you take into account volcanic eruptions and other things the left does not account for when analyzing what the actual cause of global warming is, or climate change, or climate crisis, whatever they want to call it this week. I nearly fell out of my chair when I saw this. The National Weather Service is stationed in Mount Holly, New Jersey, in Burlington County. They tweeted, I think it was earlier this week, that they looked at temperature data from Philadelphia International Airport, coolest summer since 2009. Is that getting reported? I reported it over at SaveJersey.com, my website. Where else are you reading about this?
You have a website?
Listen. Don't be cute. You're not good at it. I guess Bella thinks you are.
I was on death row yesterday for being too damn cute.
You were on death row for being too cute? What did you do?
Being too cute. Oh, they locked me up. I was in a death row cell. Locked me up.
I thought maybe you did something specific to offend the lovely Bella.
No, I was just being too cute to, sentence to death. I said, okay. That was that.
It's even harder to take you seriously this week with Donald Trump's mugshot behind you, because it looks like Trump is disapproving of you specifically. If you're not watching over on YouTube, folks, youtube.com/@1210WPHD, you're missing out because there's this picture of Trump's mugshot behind Dan. A mugshot, which, by the way, is going to adorn college dorm rooms.
Well, he's already
for 100 years. This is going to be, especially if you're like a college Republican, this is going to be what Frank Sinatra's mugshot used to be.
Well, he's already selling it, so
good for him.
He's on his official merch store. He already has shirts of his mugshot. So
did you see how much money he raised?
I did not.
In just the 24 hours after his booking in Fulton County, Georgia, $7.1 million is what he brought in.
It's a waste of money, if you ask me.
Why is it a waste of money?
I don't know. I wouldn't do it, so it's a waste of money to me. But
you wouldn't donate to him?
Nah.
Well, you're not a Trump fan.
Man's got money. He doesn't need it.
I mean, much has been made of the fact that is he using these small donations from small donors to pay his legal bills when he could pay his own.
I don't know. I just don't feel the need to donate to politicians. They're just going to take our money anyway. So why do I got to give it to them, They already take my money, so I don't need to give them more.
Why am I giving them money so they can get elected and take my money?
Exactly.
Well, it's hard to argue with that principle generally.
And then if you donate to them and they don't win, then you just waste your money. You're not getting that money back,
I think that it should function kind of like a corporation with shareholders.
So
if you donate to the politician, if they don't do what we elected them to do, then we can sell our shares or something.
Or if that candidate that you supported doesn't win, then you get your money back. You get refunds.
They have to pay it back?
Yeah, they got to pay it back.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Get a loan.
God. We got great ideas around here.
Yeah.
Our collective brain power.
Yeah.
855-839-1210 is the number. Do we want to do Dan's Fact of the Week now, or do we want to take a break and do it when we come back?
Take a break.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, let's let Dan inform us, or at least that's what he's going to attempt to do. Hear on the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. It also delivers vital emergency information when your community needs it most. A new bill in Congress would ensure AM radio stays in your car, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service is critical. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Our oceans are true climate heroes. In fact, they've absorbed over 90% of all the excess heat trapped on Earth, but they can only take so much. Join Oceana to help protect our oceans at oceana.org/hero.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
When they lecture us about privilege, they never mention Hunter Biden, who is the epitome of privilege. How did Hunter Biden earn these millions of dollars? Is it because he's so smart? How smart is it to turn over a laptop with incriminating information to a stranger? How smart is it to try to deduct your hookers on your federal income tax? Did the Ukrainian and Chinese companies pick Mr. Hunter Biden because they were impressed with his resume on ZipRecruiter? No. It was his daddy. It was always about his daddy.
Look, I don't get a vote in this, but if it was up to me, I think Steve Dinistrian, who was in the studio earlier tonight, and Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, you just heard a minute ago, they would do like all the communications for the Republican Party. Both men speak clearly, get directly to the point, and Kennedy is one of the funniest guys out there. He's always good for a zinger, and he's so right about Hunter Biden. That's something that so often gets missed in this evolving scandal. Forget about the evidence for a second, which is increasingly compelling, but set it aside for a moment. What other reason would there be for someone to give Hunter Biden money? He doesn't provide any services. He doesn't have any real skills. It couldn't be anything other than a bribe. And, you know, we only have so much time to get to so many things, but there is a very compelling story out there in the ether. And Fox News has it, and I have it in my stack, concerning Ukraine and an ongoing investigation into the Bidens. Look, I'm telling you right now, we talk a lot about Joe Biden's age, his inability to do the job, his wacky policies. I mean, there are so many reasons to think that Joe Biden should not be president for another 4 years. But this former top Ukrainian prosecutor, he came out swinging against the Bidens in a Fox News interview. And he said, I have no doubt that there were illegal activities engaged in by Burisma. That's former Ukrainian prosecutor general Viktor Shokin, a name you're going to hear more about as election 2024 progresses, assuming Joe Biden stays in the race. He was talking to Brian Kilmeade. It's unreal stuff. It's unreal stuff. Everything, and it's been said before, but everything that they accused Donald Trump of, they actually did, which is part of the reason why they've accused Donald Trump of it, because they're trying to inoculate their guy by trying to taint him, by trying to paint him with the same brush. And somebody just asked on Twitter, yes, this prosecutor is the one who was ousted back in 2016 because he was investigating Burisma. So when I said earlier in the present tense, what I meant to say is that he was investigating Burisma before, but then got ousted. It's 855-839-1210. The corruption goes so deep. It's depressing. It's depressing. We try to be entertaining in our presentation of it, but I'm not happy, even though I don't like Joe Biden and I'm a conservative Republican and I want to see the Democrats lose because they're nuts. I'm still not happy about any of this. I'm not happy that the President of the United States and his son are now more than likely involved in this massive international bribery scandal, one that involves not just benign nations, but also some of this nation's mortal enemies. It's not something anybody should be laughing about, happy about, joking about. Just the same as I think it's creepy and weird that Democrats have this celebratory atmosphere surrounding Donald Trump's indictment. Even if you did think that Donald Trump deserved to be indicted, are you happy that a former president of the United States is being brought up on charges which relate to his time in office? This isn't something in a republic that's supposed to be cause for celebration. But, you know, we're in a sick spot, and I'm just hoping we can dig out of it. Dan, let's cleanse our palate and allow you to expand our mind and enlighten us by giving us your second-to-none fact of the week.
Fact of the week today is...
No pressure.
Is Labor Day themed.
Because you won't be here next week.
Correct.
So I will be here, to be clear.
Yeah.
But you will not be here.
Correct. So I figured, well, why don't we just do some little Labor Day theme, you know what I mean? And we're also...
Wrap around.
Yeah, we're talking about Trump.
Okay.
And Labor Day... That's the wrong one. Sorry, I read the wrong one. Wrong. On me. The first Waffle House opened on Labor Day in 1955.
Hey, now.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Evandale Estates in Georgia.
In Georgia.
So it ties in because Trump likes the Waffle House, right? He was indicted in Georgia.
He was indicted in Georgia. I see what you did there.
Labor Day's coming up, so why not get a fact that has all three?
I'll tell you what.
So there you go. Waffle House.
This is why we pay you the big bucks, baby.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Dan's like, where's my check if I'm getting all these big bucks?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I love waffles. I like Labor Day. It's an underrated holiday.
Also, bonus fact. Labor Day is considered the unofficial NFL season kickoff. 99.44% of the time, the NFL plays its first official season game the Thursday after Labor Day.
We're coming up on the best time of year. You still have outdoor weather, but it's getting a little bit cooler at night. You've got football. You've got, some cool holidays coming up.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I am a huge fan of Labor Day to Thanksgiving.
I'm a huge fan of the fall.
Yeah, it's a great season.
But I don't, when I mean fall, I like this time until the end of October. I don't like November.
It depends on how the weather holds in November.
I like a nice crisp 50, 55,
Well, you still get that oftentimes in November in the Mid-Atlantic.
55 to 60. Like I don't like the whole 30, and that's what we start getting to closer to like Thanksgiving. I ain't about that. I just like the Halloween time fall.
It depends on the season.
Nah.
Some years we have a very temperate November. Other years you get this dramatic cold snap before Thanksgiving. You have an early snow, and then what I really hate is Christmas Day when it's like 60.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
You're sick.
Love it. I hate the cold. Hate it.
But you got to pack on some meat. That's part of the problem.
Hate the cold.
If you had a spare tire like yours truly, you'd feel differently. You'd love sweater
I'll take
weather.
some of Trump's 215 pounds and pack it on, but I hate the cold.
Is that what Trump weighs?
Well, that's what it said on his.
Is that what it said? 215?
Yeah, he was like 6'2", 215.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd buy that.
I don't.
You don't buy it?
Well, no, because you have to think that Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Ravens, is 6'2", 215.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, look, I'm not trying to make fun of the Donald here, but he looks, if he's 6'2", judging by the size of his gut.
Then I'm 6'4". You know?
Well, I'm not even talking about his height. I'm just saying, looking at his stomach, he's got to be a little more than 215.
100%.
I'm not even saying a lot more. Maybe like 225.
I don't know. Apparently his aides provided that information beforehand to speed up the process. So I don't know. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard.
He lied about his weight.
Probably.
Probably the only lie he told in the whole process, ironically. Tell him I'm 215. I'm only 215.
Yeah.
Not a pound over for Trump. God almighty.
Yeah, you wouldn't think they had a Diet Coke waiting for him. It's like, hey, you made it through the booking process. Here's your Diet Coke.
Here's your Diet Coke.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's so absolutely bizarre. It is. But look, the left they have no answers for any of this, and I think that they're already concerned that what their project they've engaged here is backfiring on them. This mugshot of Trump will be a rallying cry. Be a rallying cry for people across this country who, even some of them, maybe don't even love Donald Trump. I mean, look, I've said this before in the program. I voted for Donald Trump in 2 consecutive general elections. I'm not a Trumpy. There's policies he's espoused, things he said, things he's done where, it made me not approve, right, from time to time. January 6th, I don't think he broke any laws from what I've seen, but I certainly don't think he was his best self. I think his reaction to that event was immature. But that's a separate question as to whether or not we should be weaponizing our justice system. But, the left, you can tell they're on the struggle bus here, trying to figure out how to respond to the fact that they're clearly creating a legal martyr out of Donald Trump. And they don't know how to respond to the criticism of Joe Biden now that Joe Biden is being credibly accused of something far worse. And I'll give you a great example of it. Congressman Swalwell. You may remember his Fangs buddy, right? He was on, which channel was it? It's hard to keep track because they're all the same these days. He was over on MSNBC, and he was responding to the criticism of Joe Biden. Trump frequently calls him Sleepy Joe. People say that he's too old. Swalwell tried to reconcile Corrupt Joe and Sleepy Joe and fell flat on his face and illustrated the problem Democrats have with their candidate heading into next year. Check this out.
This Congress started with threats of impeaching Secretary Mayorkas, and then it was FBI Director Christopher Wray, and then Merrick Garland, and now Joe Biden. And by the way, Eamon, one day he's Sleepy Joe, the next day he's Corrupt Joe. I know people who are sleepy. I know people who are corrupt. I don't know anyone who is both. These guys just know that they are reflexively anti-anything Biden's doing, whether it's for the economy, whether it's for global security over in Ukraine. And so it shows.
He doesn't know anybody that's sleepy and corrupt?
I'm kind of sleepy right now.
Most. I mean, look, I've worked as a prosecutor. I mean, most of the corrupt people I know, most of the crooks I know are also lazy. I know plenty of sleepy, corrupt people. It's just that they don't have an answer. They went all in on Orange Man bad. And that works. That works if the general population not only believes Orange Man is bad, but you have a better alternative. But what happens when you don't have a better alternative? What happens when not only is the economy struggling, people can't buy houses, right? Especially young people, Gen Zs and millennials who Democrats rely on to get them across the finish line. All of these problems. Gas is going to start heading for the stratosphere again soon. And then your guy is actually more corrupt than the Trumpster. What do you do then if you're the Democrats? Back to our caller Alex earlier in the program. I mean, maybe they try to dust off Hill Dog for one more battle. Is that where the Democrats want to be in 2024? I wouldn't think so. Well, as I promised, we've laughed, we've cried, we've had a full program tonight. Now is the part at the end where I, against my better judgment, turn the program over to producer Dan for a little segment. What's it called again?
Okay, guys, gather round. Gather round.
It's Twit Talk time.
It's horrifying.
You
it's
missed
confusing.
It last week.
I missed what?
You missed it last week. I know you did.
Did you do it last week?
No.
No?
No.
I
tend not to do it with these fill-in hosts because they don't understand it. You know?
It's a little bit much to spring on someone that's not ready for it. Yeah.
And you understand it because we talked about it. And like you know the premise of it. But if I go to a fill-in host and be like, hey, here's clips that I found from TikTok and Twitter, they'll be like, why do we need to do this? Yeah.
Greg, what is this kid doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why
I get
that's why me and you do it. It's our
I get
special little thing.
It's our thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do we got this week?
I'm gonna start with this. I went to a concert on Friday in Camden, and I have some audio of that.
You texted me about
who I
this.
went to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. The band, the opening band kept calling Camden Philadelphia. And I was getting pissed off because it's not Philadelphia.
When you say that, you're like, oh, hey, like, good night, Philly. Hello, Philly.
They were, mind you, this was Camden. So if you want to classify it as Philly, fine. But it's not. And they were like, oh, Philly, how are we doing? I was like, it's not Philly, you know?
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, Philly's probably more dangerous.
Yeah, and then the main band
Camden
said,
doesn't want to be associated with Philly. That's
right,
how bad it
right.
is over
and
here.
the main band was like, oh, it's Camden and the city across the way. I said, that's better. But the opener was just like, hey, what up, Philly?
We get that a lot. When you're in South Jersey, you're kind of in the shadow of the city.
Yeah.
So these groups that don't have, the wherewithal to say, like, oh, maybe I need to know my audience a little bit here.
Yeah.
They'll just conflate it, and it ticks off South Jerseyans every time.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
It is annoying.
Here's I don't know if you ever heard of the band, but here's a little bit of their set.
How much did you pay for this?
I don't know.
You should get your money back.
I should.
Yeah.
Well, Bella bought the tickets, so that's who we were seeing.
Did she have a good time?
Yeah.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
There's a lid for every pot.
So we saw the Hispanic Queen. El Quino.
Is that the name of the band? I never know when you're making fun of me or not.
This wasn't the no, that wasn't the actual band.
Okay.
No. This one is.
I would be surprised.
Yeah. Camden probably. Yeah. This one is though. This one I'm going to expose myself a little bit. All
right. Well, you expose yourself like Hunter Biden exposed yourself.
No. When you go to concerts,
I don't know how to do the blur function on here.
When you go to concert, do you like yell and cheer, or are you just the kind of person who just like sits there and claps?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the concert.
I don't know.
Right? Like
typically.
No, I mean, I would. It's been a long time, but like I would dance.
If you're going to like a rock concert and they play one of your favorite songs, do you like yell and cheer?
Yeah, like he's not my favorite guy these days, but like Springsteen.
Yeah,
I would dance and cheer. Sure.
Okay.
Plays Dancing in the Dark. You do your best Courtney Cox impression.
So Bella laughed at me on this one during this one, but they played my favorite song by them, and I screamed, and it was not how I expected it to come out.
Oh no! That was you?
One more time. Yeah, so I kind of had a little bit of voice crack. Bella, you can hear her laughing the second laugh, and then I finally got it right the third time, but I had a little bit of a voice crack. So.
And was that? So let's analyze this for a second. Was that unbridled, unrehearsed excitement, or were you trying to be?
So here's the thing. I knew they were playing it.
Extra.
I knew they were playing because I knew the set list beforehand.
And you got that excited.
And I knew they were playing it, but it's like my all-time favorite song by them. So it was just like, I don't know. I was kind of like surprised. There was like talk saying they weren't going to play otherwise and all that kind of stuff. So I guess I just let it out, and that came out,
I mean, I've been to a concert where I've been really excited because the group or the band, whatever, the artist performed like the thing that I really like.
Yeah.
But I've never done that. It's you what it kind of sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Wilhelm scream?
The politician?
No. So the Wilhelm scream, it's a movie thing. It's that stock sound effect.
Oh yeah. I know
Where,
exactly
where
what you're
like
talking
where like a stormtrooper's getting like thrown off of the battle station or whatever.
I know exactly what you're
And
talking
it's in like
about.
they use it in
Yeah.
movie. It sounds like your version of the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, it's just one more time, just for good measure, so people can understand.
I mean, I hope you're gonna make that a hotkey.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Do you want the whole thing, or you just want the scream?
Both. I want long version and short version.
Oh boy. Okay.
And if you don't play it on the morning show tomorrow, I'm gonna call in and say, "Hi, Matt Rooney.
Well, it's
first-time caller, long-time listener."
It's Mary and Mike tomorrow, so probably not.
Oh, okay.
Nick's out.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
I'll wait till Nick comes back.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho.
Speaking, did you know Jello shots? You like Jello shots, right?
Not really.
Do you like Jello?
No.
Okay, well then this.
I mean, I'll do a Jello shot. Do you have one?
No, I don't have them. But
I
did you know
would.
that they make non-alcoholic Jello shots?
What? That's called Jello.
Oh my God, you guys are gonna fucking lose it. Look what I just found. They have alcohol-free Jello shots. Like, what a fucking discovery. You can literally just eat these straight out with a spoon and then, like, I guess take a sip of alcohol if you wanted to. But you could just eat it.
Oh, there's a lot of special people out there, Dan. Finding out that Jello's an actual food.
Yeah, I guess people just don't understand that Jello is an actual food. Yeah, so.
That's someone that does a lot of drinking.
It's also someone who probably screams and voice cracks at a concert.
By the way, 91 LSXRs over on YouTube says Bill Cosby used to always offer Jello shots in his apartment in the 70s. Not wrong.
It's not right.
Not right. It's not right, but it's also not wrong.
So this is this one is a math problem, if you will.
Is this girl math?
No, this isn't girl math at all. This is just an unusual math problem.
Okay.
It's kind of like your math textbook. It's like, oh, some guy has 96 watermelons and he gets rid of 114.
One train leaves Cincinnati going to speed.
How many
yeah.
watermelons are left? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
see if you can figure this one out.
My husband's gay. He's a gay man. I'm a straight woman. We are married. We both like men, and we make the perfect partnership.
Perfect in the way that you're a beard and you enjoy it?
So do you understand it?
I do, yes.
Okay.
She likes dudes, and he's into dudes.
Yeah.
So she's his beard, but not really because he's not pretending. So you basically married your wing girl?
Beats me, man.
God, and see, why are you sharing that?
I don't.
That's the thing that gets me. You and I have talked about this before. Sometimes I've had friends or say whoa, like, don't you feel weird sharing your political opinions on Twitter? My opinion regarding a public topic is something that I'm okay with sharing publicly.
Yeah.
These people that share personal stuff like that, I don't need to know that. Why is that something you need to put out there? That's what's weird to me. How does that impulse start?
Her whole account is like that too. Bella says she used to be popular on YouTube and she got canceled, so she does a bunch of outrageous stuff on the internet for money and attention now. That seems about right.
Oh.
That seems
So is her
right.
so is her husband really gay?
Apparently, her whole personality's a bit. Is it fake? Is her husband not actually gay?
That's what Bella's saying. Which in of itself tells you something, because every week we play these clips from the internet, and there are accounts out there like that saying that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore.
No one knows what's real or fake anymore. That's the point.
Okay. Did you know that you can buy an endoscope?
I did not know that.
Well, you can buy an endoscope.
So it turns out you can just buy an endoscope, which is the kind of camera they use in colonoscopy.
If I buy one of them, I'm shoving it right up my keister. Because I want to see if my daddy was right. Because he always used to tell me, Cody, you got your head shoved right up your ass. No, I don't, Daddy. No, I don't. I want to see what he's talking about. I want to see if my head's shoved up my ass. I don't think it is. I don't believe it is. But you never know.
By the way, you can buy an endoscope.
Yes, you can.
They're not cheap though. They're like between $7,000 and $10,000.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I don't know. I don't. Do you have an endoscope guy?
Nope.
I don't have an endoscope guy, so I don't know whether that's reasonable or not.
Mr. Ernest Owens has an endoscope. I'm not surprised about that one. Phil Murphy, everyone's beloved favorite governor, finally made Central Jersey a thing. Did you hear about this?
This is one of the most divisive issues in New Jersey. It's actually more of a divisive topic than pork roll versus Taylor ham.
Yeah.
My wife believes she's from Central Jersey. I categorize where she was born and raised as North Jersey.
Okay.
And it's a fight.
Yeah.
It nearly ended our marriage.
So I just took a little bit of his press briefing.
Good morning, everybody. And today we will settle the debate once and for all. Central Jersey exists. And in a few moments, we're going to make Central Jersey's existence official from here on out. And now it is time for the world to discover everything this region has to offer. From our bountiful farmlands to our one-of-a-kind wineries to our scenic natural parks. Starting today, we're taking a new step in sharing those wonders with the whole wide world.
You have any seniors he killed in Central Jersey during COVID that lived in nursing homes? Every time that guy talks and he tries to be cute and do these, PR kind of soft things that politicians tend to, engage from time to time, I can't get away from what a monster he is. And when you know that, sometimes a politician, even one you don't agree with, you can kind of suspend your beliefs and enjoy it. But I can't with him. I just can't. Another 3 hours in the can. I am Matt Rooney. This is the Matt Rooney Show. I will be here on Labor Day weekend next Sunday. I will also be in for the legendary Dom Giordano this Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you're around during the week, check in. Until then, stay safe, stay sane, and keep doing everything you can to fight for this greatest nation in God's creation. It is worth it.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Do you feel